specifically talking about the comprehensive plan amendment. Rich, I'll also let you specifically talk about that if you care to. Okay? Jason.
Jason Green,
And
Community
then the
Development.
public, yes.
Not really. I think it's just, before we took a break, I think I mentioned a couple of those comments of food for thought, thinking about now that you've heard the presentation and the theme and what they want to accomplish through the CPD construction documents and all that. Do you have enough information in the policy to feel that you can judge whether that's being carried out or not? And then the other thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention before was through comp plan policy, you assign general uses. This one's a little bit more specific, and it's got a mixture of different things that we talked about, like timeshare and condos and all that. I want to be sure that everybody understands that even if it gets adopted as policy, a use, and I'll use the tiki bar just as an example because it's a glowing thing sitting out there. That is not within, as applied for, it's not within the boundary of this amendment, but I just want to use that as an example. If something gets adopted or approved into policy, but later on they can't get a permit for it, they can't meet FEMA regulations, they can't meet town flood regulations or zoning codes or other things, it doesn't guarantee them that use too, right? I just want to make sure for the record that the public understands that this is not a variance or blank slate,
It's a policy.
a special exception or anything to those other uses. They still have other steps and other things that they would have to go through. Not that they may be able to get it, they may not, but it's, again, guardrails and general parameters with some specifics to what is being allowed on that 3.5 acres. So,
But that's not unique.
no, it's
This-
not.
just
This is unique in that it's a site specific.
Understood, sure.
So normally I would say be careful of specific language in a category that you're creating or you're amending that's part of your overall plan that could be used in multiple places. We don't like, as planners, we don't like to encourage land development code level language in comp plans.
For example, the height.
Very, very detailed specifics about the structure, necessarily, or types of balconies or, design criteria, those sort of things. But I think with this being site specific, and all of these components have to match up, I would say that's acceptable to have some level of detail within that. I wouldn't use the same argument that I use as a general category when it's a site specific for this project category. How much detail, that's up to you guys. But again, the height, when we talk about height, are we talking about height from grade, height from sea level, or are we talking about height from DEP's flood elevation level, right? Those are things that I think
And are we
you need to
talking
be
about
specific.
one building or are we talking about site-wide?
Correct. And I mentioned the height and the stories to you before the break. There's a limit in here, but it's not specific to one building or the building on the west side or what have you. So if you want to get into that detail, you can. Again, the CPD, the whole goal of this is to get the parameters adopted as part of the comp plan. And then your CPD is the implementation of that. It's the zoning that's implementing it with pictures. So I'll leave it at that, I guess.
Okay. Anybody have questions for Jason before we'll let Rich touch on this at all? Don, anything?
Yeah, just one question with respect to the what was allowed prior. So we had 4 stories above, including the ground floor before.
I believe so, yes. I think it was, I think the applicant mentioned that in their presentation that there was, I think it was 4 stories, 144 hotel rooms.
Yeah, but we didn't have a height. There's no height. The height I'm asking what the general height requirement is on the island for 4 floors or 3 floors above parking.
So
is there a maximum?
No, I mean, that's usually implemented through zoning. So
Gotcha. Okay.
You've generally looked at 3 stories, 30 feet above base flood as kind of a guardrail.
52, 55 feet.
Just like
Yeah. Okay.
most of your typical categories on the island right now have a 1.5 FAR, except
Right.
for the pedestrian, right? Those are kind of parameters that you establish in that 2045 plan. But zoning is usually where you implement that. That's where through CPDs you can deviate from that somewhat or establish a new height.
Sure. Okay.
My only point was when you say 195 feet, let's be clear if we're talking from grade, from sea level, from
Right.
the 20-foot elevation
Right.
that DEP is going to require, which is from sea level, right? All of those things, there's nuances to that.
Yeah. And my question was more around, if you do 195 divided by 13, that's 15 feet roughly. So I was just trying to get a reference for what we're looking at on
Yeah,
this
you
versus-
typically
yeah.
don't see stories at 15 feet across an entire structure.
Right, right.
You see 10 to 12 is pretty typical.
Yeah.
But again, you might have a main floor that's 16 feet and then depending on your design. But
Right. Yeah.
And then there's appurtenances and stuff that are on the roof. And I think this one, it calls out to the midpoint of the roof.
Right. And I think I heard 21 feet or so. I heard 21 feet earlier in the presentation, I
Yes.
think on the first level. So
I would say the biggest discussion we get into probably on a regular basis is not just the stories, but what can go on above the stories that doesn't count as a story, but maybe below the height. Outdoor pools and reception areas and places to host weddings or what have you, right? That's been so those are things in decks and all that kind of stuff. So I think some specificity in that and understanding what you're creating these guardrails for, what your intent is, would really help us down the line when we're trying to review and implement not just the CPD, but also the DO part, which is the DO for everybody is the development order that is the site engineering, design of the site, where everything's formally going to, it's construction documents essentially.
right. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I add, you've gotten a lot of information from the applicant as well as from staff, but at this point, we're actually looking at the text language, and that's on page 25 and 26 of your agenda packet.
Thank you, Nancy. Dunlap, are you?
Yeah, just one thing, Jason, for follow-up comments you made before the break. We, and certainly the public, have been accustomed to looking at the documents you create that are published. You have a list of staff recommendations on them and other criteria. They're typically accompanying whether it's a recommendation of approval or denial, what it happens to be. You talked about what we should be thinking about with the ones you have at the end of this section and how they were arrived at and whose authorship they are of. Can you just touch on that again to make sure we can process it through your intent?
Sure. Most of the text amendment we're talking about for the
Yeah.
category is from the applicant. We've had some conversations with them about verbiage, and so it's their application to create this category. So I would say, to your point, if you want to get more detailed about the mixture, percentage or ratios, there's lots of ways you can use as a measuring tool. But we want things, the rule of thumb is from planning, you want measurable and predictable. We want to be able to say, this application later on, we know it meets this because we can measure against something, right? So that's why I made the reference about the 150. But this text is the applicant's.
Okay, thank you.
With some feedback and input from staff.
Doug, any questions for Jason?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Jane, questions for Jason?
Not right now.
Jim, questions for Jason? Ed,
Not right now. No.
questions for Jason? Okay, I'm going to hold off still too, Jason. Rich?
There is more specificity in this document when you actually go look at your agenda package materials. For instance, we do specify how you measure height, where you measure it from, and where the low level to the high level. So there is a definition of how you measure height. There's also a specific measurement of the density. We say 100 hotel rooms, we say 50 hotel condominiums, and we say 46 multifamily units. That specificity is already in the document. If you want more specificity, we have no objections. I practice a lot in Carter County, and I had one comprehensive plan amendment that you would have sworn it was the PD document. And it was. The county wanted so much specificity in the comprehensive plan that they basically incorporated the PD into the comprehensive plan. So I literally had a sub-district that I created that was probably 10 pages long because it really was a regurgitation of the PD, which we're perfectly fine with doing. One of the beauties, it used to be in the old days, when you did a comprehensive plan amendment, you were not allowed to concurrently do the rezone. So local governments were really concerned about, I'm going to give you this broad baseline in the comp plan, and Rich, you're going to come back 6 months later, and you're going to say under quasi-judicial, you got to give me this because it's consistent with the broad guidelines. Now that we can bring forward the zoning at the same time, you know exactly what you're getting. So now, for instance, if you want to take the conditions in the PD and put them into the comprehensive plan language, we're fine with that. Whatever will give you the comfort level you need to know that you're getting what we presented today, we want to give that to you. If you want to have a master plan that shows the building heights and how they vary as part of your comprehensive plan amendment, we're happy making that an exhibit, the comprehensive plan amendment. The reason we wanted to present both of them together, the rezone and the comp plan amendment, I think it was important for you to see how the comprehensive plan language that you're going to talk about now in greater detail is actually getting applied. So I thought it was very important that you see what the zoning was going to result from the comprehensive plan amendment. We're fine if you want to marry the two documents to where they're identical. Whatever will give you the level of comfort that the pretty pictures we showed you are part of the comp plan, we're all in. So whatever's your pleasure, we're fine with. So
Okay.
that's how I would,
Thank you.
that's the caveat or preamble to when you start firing questions off to us.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add relative to the comprehensive plan amendment?
No, I
you're
think
asking?
we did a pretty detailed presentation about what the comprehensive plan amendment entails. And again, if you want to include what we talked about for the PD into the comp plan amendment, we're fine.
Okay, thank you. Are you leaning in because you have a question for the gentleman? Jim?
No.
No. Ed, any questions for Rich?
No questions.
How about you, Jane?
Not at this time. I want to.
How about you, Doug?
Not this time.
How about you, Don?
No, thank you.
Good for now.
Jim? Okay, well, I have a few questions. I have a few questions. So, Rich, something that Jason said prior to the break, I had not contemplated, and that is that in the comprehensive plan amendment, you say the maximum building height is 195 feet. And the CPD plans, we see that one building reaches that maximum height. But this comprehensive plan amendment would allow you to have 195 feet for every building because it's your maximum height. So you could utilize that height across the board.
And that's exactly why I said what I just said. If you
Okay.
want to go ahead and attach the master plan that's in our PUD or PD, I'm sorry, we're happy to do that. Comp plans are more general
Mhm.
and PDs are usually more specific,
Mhm.
but we're perfectly fine with putting into the PD, I'm sorry, the comprehensive plan amendment,
Mhm.
those varying heights that we presented as part of the PD.
Can you tell me how you calculate the 3.0 FAR?
Well,
What is included and what is excluded from that? Are
What
you?
we did was and I don't think we should have done this, we actually included the residential square footage as well.
Mhm.
And your comprehensive plan is very clear. It talks about non-residential square footage. So we included the residential square footage.
But aren't you obligated to do that with a CPD because it's all in that box?
No, I don't think you are, because your comprehensive plan and your other mixed-use categories say non-residential, FAR for non-residential uses is 2.5 for Santini. That's what it says.
Okay, so if you excluded your residential parcel, what's your FAR?
If we took out our residential and we took out, basically, I think Neptune was just recently adopted that you take out the parking as well. If you took that out, I think we're at like 2.25. We would be at 2.25.
So eliminating all the parking and eliminating the residential, are you counting the hotel condo units or only the?
Nope. We're
You're only
counting
counting the
that.
40
We're counting the 26,000 square feet of private beach club. We're counting the 20,000 square feet of public amenities. We're including that.
So,
But
Sorry.
you're also excluding under deviation 2, all of the other areas that would normally be considered
Right.
an FAR.
And that's why I just said, if you want to go with your Neptune deviation, the Neptune definition of FAR, the only thing you exclude, to my understanding, is the two parking levels. All right? You would exclude the two parking levels, and you would take out our residential. If you just took those two things, forget about everything else we asked to be excluded, we would be under your definition, 2.25.
and that's just is it 50 residential?
We take out the 50
Yeah,
residential units.
okay.
Condos.
Condos, yeah.
46,
Jason, do you
sorry,
have a-
yeah, maybe it'd just
Hold
be the
hold
46
on one second,
multifamily
Rich.
units.
Jason, can you take that microphone over to you and, no, grab that other microphone so we can have a conversation. And you can take it to your table and so you can sit
All
there
right.
and talk.
I'll do that. Who started
Follow his
this?
Instructions.
Holding it.
Well, instead of the getting up and getting down
It's
and
like the
whatever.
Price is Right.
And the other Jason might
So-
have something to add.
So let me make sure I'm clear on what I'm saying. You take the two parking levels out, and you take out the square footage associated with the 46
Yeah.
multifamily units, we're at a 2.25.
The two parking levels of, because it's in three buildings, right? There's
Well,
parking
it's-
in,
the parking
It's two
level is a
parking
base,
levels.
it's a
Yeah.
base
Right,
platform. It's
okay,
two
yeah.
levels, it's two levels.
Do you agree with that, Jason?
No. So
Yeah.
the purpose of that policy is you don't count single family duplex and triplex type structures. They don't have FAR. So there is no FAR established by zoning districts. If you look at the RS or RC, when you do a mixed use project or a commercial project, they're considered commercial buildings essentially. Even under Florida Building Code with the multifamily, it's really, so that gets excluded. FAR is the building, is the impact of the building, the size of it, relation to the lot. So I would disagree with the excluding. That's just doing math a different way, right? So normally what is the size of the buildings, and if you want to exclude something. That's part of the reason why I have a problem with some of the exclusions, not theirs in general, is we're just doing funny math. It's,
Residential condo,
but
residential condo high rise? How do you calculate that?
it's the building mass
It's
in
still the
relation to
box.
the box.
No,
It's the
you're
box in relation to, right. So especially in a mixed use project, you count everything.
I'm talking about standalone.
on
It
a-
doesn't have FAR,
That's my point.
but this isn't standalone.
Understood.
and I think that building, that 15-floor building, it's mixed. It's not just 46 units in that 50. Is there only 46 in that 15-story building or no?
That's where our 46 units
Okay,
are.
it's-
And
But
that's
there's
all
no
that's
other
there.
uses.
And the private beach club, which what we included
Right,
that private
right.
beach club square
But
footage.
there's no condotel units in that building. So that 15-story building is exclusively residential.
And the private beach club.
Right.
But we counted that square footage for the private beach club
Right.
towards our FAR.
Right.
Look, I can only read what your comprehensive plan says. And I'll read from the Times Square mixed use subdistrict. And it says the non-residential floor area ratios in the TSMU shall not exceed 2.5. And then it even goes further. It says transient residential hotel and motel shall be counted as non-residential. Why do you put that language in there? You put that language in there to tell you what counts as non-residential. If you're residential, you're not non-residential. So I think you may be applying it differently, and I'm not saying you're not. But what I'm saying, you asked me based upon how your comprehensive plan is currently written, it would be 2.25. That's why we actually did include the residential, which bumped it up to the number they're asking for, which would be 3.0. And what we've asked for is the definition is the same definition that Collier County applies. They basically take out non-air conditioned space. So it's not like we made up this definition. It's an accepted definition.
No, I understand the definition. I understand all of that, but you've presented a package for us to contemplate.
Right.
And all of the elements they have individual uses, but what makes the individual uses function is the package. So otherwise you would have said, you know what, we're going to separate this lot and this is going to be a residential tower.
Well, it is a
And-
residential tower.
I understand that, but you didn't separate the lot. You've created a commercial plan development. The entire parcel is a commercial plan development.
No
We don't
question.
have to argue about this. I understand
No,
what you're
I
saying. I just don't agree with you.
Okay.
So so you've taken out the parking, you've taken out the residential, and with everything else, it's 2.2, you're
It would be
saying.
2.25.
And Jason, would you agree with his math?
I mean, I think it's a moot point because they've set the criteria for their category, right? They've said 3 and it includes all of what? That was your question.
No.
So for the purpose of FAR is to try to measure and understand building mass, right? So to say we're going to exclude a 47 unit building in 8 stories or whatever it is, what are we talking about, right? So at the end of the day, you want to know how much mass is this creating so we can somewhat compare it to other places. And I understand that. So my question is, they set 3. Your question was what goes into that 3? I still didn't hear that clear answer. I heard we excluded a bunch of other stuff and we're 2.25.
Yep.
They're saying they're going to be up to 3. They're allowed up to 3. What's included in that? Otherwise, all you're comparing is what their policy is creating.
I believe I was asked a question, if we were to use your definition of FAR, what would we be at? And that's when I said, if you use the Neptune definition, which excludes the 2 level of parking, and you take out our residential uses, we would be at 2.25. We're not hiding from our 3.0. I understood your question to be, what would it be under our current definition of FAR? That's what I heard the question. And that's what I thought I was answering.
Your 3.0 without deviation number 2 will be greater than 3.0. Probably 3.5 or 4.
Okay. And same thing with Neptune.
Yeah.
Neptune would be greater
But
than what they were.
let's not, we're not comparing apples to oranges. And if I could just explain something to you, Rich, since it's been a while since you've been here. When I ask these questions, I ask them because I look at the faces of the people in this room and I want them to be very clear about what we're either approving or denying. I don't want to leave here and have somebody say, what did he mean? I want them to understand it. And that includes all the people who are watching it on TV.
And I want to be
It's
too.
very important that this is clear because this is an important project and nobody's discounting that. Okay. Any other questions on the FAR from anybody for Rich? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, and then we're going to come back. Rich, do you have anything else to add? Because I'm
No,
going to open
okay.
up the public
Okay.
comment.
Thank you.
Nope, because this is legislative. This is legislative. So, folks, I eliminated that microphone, so you'll have to come to this. It's okay, Jason. That's all right. That's okay.
We might need you though.
Yeah, you stay there. You just stay there. So some people did fill out cards, and so I'll have, nope, never mind.
Okay.
Here's what we're talking about right this second. We're only talking about the comprehensive plan amendment. Only the comprehensive plan amendment, not whether or not you like where the tiki bar is, not in any of those particular details, just the amendment to the comprehensive plan. So who has comments on this?
Madam Chair, it might be helpful again to reference that now it's page 26, but what is in the comprehensive plan amendment are the permitted uses, the height and the stories, the intensity, the density, and the development standards.
Would you all like me to read that to you? Do you know what it is? You're okay. You're good. Go ahead.
And when they come to the podium, if they could just state whether or not they were sworn in at the onset,
Yes,
because
please.
this will be incorporated by reference.
So who'd like to speak first? Yes, ma'am. Come on up. Don't get your feelings hurt if I stop you if you're saying something that's not relevant to this case, okay?
Okay, because I probably will.
That's all right. Just so long as you don't get your feelings hurt.
Okay, yeah, no, they won't be.
Okay.
My name is Lisa Wiseman.
Hi, Lisa.
And in all honesty, having never testified at a meeting like this, I'm not sure if I'm up here at the right time, but based
We'll
on
let
what
you
you
know.
said about this amendment. All right, so cut me off.
Were you sworn in?
Yes, I was.
Okay, very good.
Earlier.
We're off to a good start.
All right, so I own a condo in one of the 8 waterside buildings on Bay Beach Lane. I have not lived in Fort Myers Beach as long as 70 years, 50 years, but I think it's important for the LPA to hear from newer residents like me, because there are a lot of us. And like an earlier public commenter said, the LPA needs to address everyone who owns here in Fort Myers Beach, our concerns. I rented in Fort Myers Beach for 6 years, and then I bought 4 years ago. And I sunk a significant amount of money for me into purchasing my condo, and I pay almost $8,000 a year in property taxes. So I'm invested in this community, and I care about what goes on. In good faith, I actually purchased after Ian, trusting that Fort Myers Beach would come back and would be back better. I'm very much in favor of this project. As was said earlier, I can attest the lifestyle quality has gone away. And while some really good things have happened, they haven't happened, not enough of them have happened, and they've happened too slowly. I'm deeply concerned about the economics of Fort Myers Beach, as was presented earlier. It's common sense. It's all common sense, not to mention a lot of data points to support it. But I'm also worried about my economics, and I'm worried about the value of my property declining, and I'm worried about my already high property taxes, which I'm happy to pay, going up. as far as so I'm in favor of this project. I think it's a beautiful project. I think it offers a lot of value, and I think there was a lot of data to support it. As far as the variances go that they've requested, I don't see a problem with the height variance they're asking. I mean, like I said, I'm right off of Bay Beach Lane. We've got countless condos that are 12, 13 stories high. They don't offer the aesthetics or the value along Estero Boulevard that this project will. I'm also don't have a problem with their request to reduce the amount of parking. And when I read that, I was like, it surprises me, because where I come from, the city I come from, our planning agency limits the amount of parking because, and I don't understand why we don't do more of that here with our traffic issues. So I'm really impressed with what they're recommending in terms of traffic mitigation and reducing the use of cars. We don't need more parking spaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. You did a good job. Okay, who would like to speak next? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Arnold Schrammel. I've been we've owned a house on 240 Pavia since 2010. So kind of in the middle between new and people that have been here for a long time. We're all for a rebuild of something at the outrigger, but this is just way too much density in a small land. And what I don't like is some of the misinformation. According to what Beach Talk Radio reported on August 5th, quoting Matt Campbell, the total assessed value on Fort Myers Beach is $4.6 billion, which is higher than pre-Ian. So when Mr. Collins says we're at 28% reduction, it's just not true. It's just not true. The other thing that comes out is in the last year and a half, there's been 2,000 condos, approximately 2,000 condos, damaged structures that have been returned to the tax rolls as inhabitable after post-storm reviews. And we all know here who've been living on the island for a long time. These 2,000 condos are both people living and heavily rented during the busy season. That's why it was much busier here this year. So we're asking for, in my case, extreme deviations from our current comp plan. For 150 hotel rooms, I mean, yes, we lost the Wyndham, we lost the Outrigger, we lost 350 hotel rooms. We've just brought up back on, just in the last year and a half, over 2,000 condo units on this island. And again, most of these condo units are heavily rented out during busy season. We don't need, would it be nice to have another 350, 400 hotel rooms? Yes. We're going to have to wait 8 years for these 300 hotel rooms. In his case, 150. Again, I'm all for redeveloping the Outrigger. What's proposed here today is just way outside the comp plan. And that's why I would urge the LPA to vote against it today and ask them to come back to a more reasonable. And they should be getting some dispensation over what the current comp plan is, but not the extreme deviations they're asking for today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for
Mr.
taking your time to
Schrammel?
be here.
Were you sworn in previously?
Yes, he
Thank
was.
you.
He's been here since the beginning. Who'd like to speak next? Dave? Terry, hold on. You're after Dave Nussbaum. Nancy, there's some chairs up here. Okay.
Hi, for the record, my name is Dave Nussbaum. I live at 6610 Estero Boulevard. I would like to point out I am president of the Island Winds Condominium, and I'm also chairman of the MRF, and I am not talking for either group. I'm talking as a second generation owner who purchased from my parents who bought here in 1988. My wife and I retired down here in 2005. We purchased our unit from the family in 2011. We grew up, our daughter grew up on Fort Myers Beach. She's 40-some years old. She's never missed a year coming down here. I state that because I've been involved in this island a long time. I've been involved in the 6,000 block a long time. The Outrigger property was an iconic property that was part of the fabric of the 6,000 block. It's gone. We can't bring it back the way it was. It'll never come back. But we have an opportunity to bring it back and offer it. I've written a letter, and you've all received it, outlining what I thought were 5 points that were very key points. I had a resident contact me and say, which of the 5 points were the most important? The beach access, the restrooms, the commercial aspect? And I said, they're all important. That's like trying to pick out your favorite child. What's really important is that we have to do something now. We can't wait for another kick it down the road, bring it back, kick it down the road, 5 years from now, open it up, and then it's 5 years after that before we're done. We can't wait a decade. The south end of the island, as I said in the letter, had 15 restaurants, walking distance from my home. Today we have less than 5. And there's nothing on the books other than one that I can talk of that's coming back. And finally, from an environmental standpoint, please remember this. The Outrigger and the Wyndham were the only 2 public restrooms on the 6,000 block with a tremendous amount of people. They're both gone. We all know what happens when people are on the beach and there's no public restrooms. Secondly, we need children in the school. There are going to be 400 to 500 people working at the Outrigger. Where do you think the kids are going to come from to go into our school, which is a necessity on this island? I support this. I support what they're requesting. Please move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Terry Kane?
Dave, were you sworn in
He
prior?
was.
Yes, I was.
He
Perfect,
was.
thank you.
And Terry was also sworn in.
Terry Kane. Terry Kane, and I was sworn in. Can you put the aerial up of the property line? Because I just want to bring it to your attention that their property line, when you put it up there, according to the LPA, is not what your property line, what they're quoting as having 9 acres. So if you're considering your thoughts on that 9 acres, it's not accurate, just to let you know. Their property line, if you pull up LPA.org, look up the property, you'll see where their property lines are. They do not go to the wet sand. For me, and those of you who know me, my whole life has been about protecting public lands. So I kind of feel like they're taking our public lands because that aspect is in their plan. So if you approve this, is that going to be to the wet sand mark? And I'm very concerned about that. And you'll see it in a few minutes. There you go. Now, go back one. So the property line is actually not the white, but do you see the black line in the green? That line is the property line. The red line that goes all the way to the wet sand, that is not theirs. That's our public lands. That's our public beach. So that's one of my concerns, that if this gets approved, that that'll be in the maps. So that's a concern. Also, the wave wall, I do not believe that the town has decided on what they're going to do with wave walls. So I think this is a bit premature because that discussion has not been extended any further than the M&P just recently. And most of you probably know my point of view on wave walls is all they do is erode the beach. They might protect what's behind the beach, behind the private property lines, but then we get no beach in the front. There's definitely scouring and we lose the beach. So I'm concerned about those things being included in this as this goes forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry. Would someone else like to speak? Nancy, are you waving your hand? And then, sir, you'll speak after Nancy, okay?
Hi, I'm Nancy Walker. I was sworn in. We bought here 25 years ago. We've been coming here since the 80s. We live down here in the south end.
Nancy, talk into the microphone.
Okay.
Thank you.
I read the comprehensive plan last night, 2045 version. It was kind of interesting. I admit I skimmed over a lot. But the first part is your vision. And first of all, my first question is, why are we changing the comprehensive plan of the whole town for one entity? Why do they have the right to ask us to change our comprehensive plan for their, whatever they want? And I'm not saying they're bad people or anything. They look very professional. It looks like a beautiful rendering. I think it's too big. That's my problem. So when you look at the comprehensive plan, right on your first page with your vision, neighborhood character, preserve small town character and community identity. That's a no on this one. Limit high density, and I'm reading it, limit high density development and new high rises. That's exactly what this is. I mean, there's no going around it. As far as increasing the FAR, why? It says in here 2.5. They want to go to 3. They want to decrease the recommended parking amount by about 40% at 38%. And, you know, increasing rooms, increasing condos and all that. And then we're talking about a shuttle that they're going to bring to Fishtail for their exclusive residences at Salt Leaf. And they're going to be running golf carts. Now, they said they're providing golf cart parking. That's great. We don't have golf cart lanes. They're in the traffic. They slow the traffic. It's 30 miles an hour down here. If you've been behind them, and we've probably all been stuck behind them, I'm happy for the people on vacation in their golf carts, but it slows things down. I live on Ibis. If they're going to be shuttling people every half hour to their private beach club from Fishtail, I'm never getting out of my street. And I just don't believe this jives with our comprehensive plan. I have a lot more to say, but that's going to be on other issues. And Terry brought up a great idea. Their property line does go to the mean high tide line. It depends on how you define the mean high tide line. I'm sure there's a definition somewhere, but I'd look very carefully on their picture, their rendering of it. And just, you represent us in the town. This is our town comprehensive plan. This is what you have to vote. Does it meet the comprehensive plan? And it doesn't. I hope they do something there. I hope they do something because it looks really nice, but it needs to be of a smaller scale. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Good afternoon.
I swear I've been sworn in.
Yeah.
I'm Tom Harris. I live at 4142 Bay Beach Lane. I've been a resident here for 25 years. Started out kind of part-time, became full-time. I retired and am a resident now of Florida and a resident of Bay Beach Lane in Fort Myers Beach. You know, I just want to add to a few things that have already been said. And I think that we all want to live here as efficiently as we can and go up and down our streets as efficiently as we can. But we also understand that we like to go to the beach again. And like the gentleman couple before me said, you can't go to the beach all the time that you want to go to the beach because there's no restrooms, there's no restaurants. So I think it's important that we deal with a company that maybe isn't corporate. As we see the presentation here, this is a local company. This is a company that has roots right here in our own community, okay? And I feel that's important. If we're going to deviate from something, why not deviate from someone we could trust? Corporate sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, you never talk to the same people. That you have a presentation here, you go 3 months later, you might not have the same people in front of you. So I think it's vitally important that we consider this process here and this program to be a part of Fort Myers Beach. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being here. Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name's Kevin Piccoli. I have been sworn in, and I live at 4142 Bay Beach Lane, Grandview. And I just want to make a couple of comments, if I can. One on London Bay. Being at Grandview, I'm also the president of the association there. I have to say that London Bay did live up to everything that they said in the sales prep going into it. They did build.
They did or they did not?
They did.
They did.
Did,
okay.
yes, positive. They did live up to everything that they said they would do, and even beyond that. They have continued to support the building, even though they don't have to. I mean, they control the board. As an example, last year we had $120,000 surplus, thanks to some good negotiation with the insurance companies. That $120,000 surplus could have been put to reducing our dues for this year and saving London Bay about $40,000. The owners had asked, they said, okay, can we do two things? One, buy an AI-based water monitoring and shut-off system, which will reduce the possibility of a water problem in the building. And two, take the remaining money, another $50,000, $60,000, and build our reserves. As a new building, we need to build our reserves. London Bay agreed to it. They didn't have to. They could have saved themselves a bunch of money. They could have said, nope, you know what, make our insurance premium 5% deductible rather than the 2% that they allowed us to take. So just going to London Bay, their integrity, their support, when we had issues, they're very quick. So they stand by their word. And I think that's really important to know. Two, with the amenities on the southern end, you all know we need these amenities. They are public use. Some people say, oh, they're not going to be available to the public. They're going to be totally supported by all the public. You see that in Santini now with the one restaurant there. And it's also going to help reduce the traffic going up to the north end, because we all now go up to the north end when we want to have a drink or we want to go to a restaurant. And the final thing I wanted to raise was the economics. So I was chief financial officer at some of the largest firms on Wall Street for years before I came down to Florida. And there's an old accounting joke, and it goes from an old accountant. It goes, what is 2 + 2? It's whatever you want it to be. Right? And I think that's the way it is with the numbers. We can argue the numbers all we want. Right? But the facts are, we do have a lot of pressure on our tax base. We do have a lot of pressure on maintaining a reasonable property tax rate. And that's fine. We'll always have that. I think inflation goes up, property tax is going to go up. You can't get around that. You can't argue with the fact that the values of our real estate is going down. It's not going up. So you're going to see appraised values coming down next year, coming up. I think a lot of people are going to argue that. So I would just say the economics are really important. You need to be with a developer that is effective, that can meet the requirements. And I think London Bay will do that. I think the property, the design is great. Yeah, it'd be nice if it would be lower, but that's just not economically feasible.
Well,
You're
thank
asking
you.
people to spend $200 million. Not feasible. So
Thank
with
you
that,
for your
I say thank you
comments.
very much.
Appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. I think I need new glasses. Because I'm looking, I'm going, I think yeah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Peck.
Hi,
I have
Sarah.
been Sworn in. I live at 6100 Estero Boulevard, which is literally across the street, next to the outrigger. We are a unit of 24 owners. Oh, and we have not been consulted at all. There was an open meeting about 1.5 years ago at the Diamond Head, which some of us attended. Other than that, we have not been contacted. The first thing I noticed in this plan is the walkway that has the wonderful vegetation, and 30 feet now has been moved to the other side of the property. Along our property line, they're putting up trees and bushes. I don't know how much of of property that is, what the line is. The outrigger had a fence. We would at least like a fence so people cannot walk from their property into our property, probably park at our property to walk to their property. We envision having to put up a gate at our entrance to our parking so that people stay out. We thought maybe this would happen with the town hall, but it hasn't, but it surely will now. 15 stories is way too tall. We are 5 stories on the north side. If you looked at all of their renderings, and they had 2 with the silhouette of the skyline, they don't even have our building. And we are the closest building to the property. We're actually closer than Gulfside 12. We're worried about the mitigation wall. That's a separate issue. If they lowered their ceiling, they don't need 10-foot ceilings. The outrigger that was there had normal size motel rooms, old-fashioned Florida motel rooms, and they made a very good living. They were full all the time, year round. Margaritaville has similar rooms, a little bit bigger, and they're full a lot. So this is way over scale, way over scale. Our line of sight is going to, we won't even see the sky. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Jim Post. I've been sworn in. I'm an attorney, Florida attorney, but I'm here representing my clients, Cameron and Nikki Post, who are residents of 198 Curlew Street, just 9 houses away from this property. My clients object to the development proposed today, and we have submitted to the LPA 3 letters already through email on April 10th, April 13th, and this morning. We'd like those letters to be part of the record of all the applications that are being heard today, consolidated. In short, in Nikki's words, my husband and I purchased our home at 198 Curlew Street for $1.5 million with the intention of making it our future full-time residence. As we approach the retirement, we have spent our careers 28, 26, and 20 years respectively with a large company, and this home represents not only our financial investment, but a long-term life decision for our family. We chose the specific location because of its character as a quiet, low-scale, family-oriented beachfront community. We have 2 young children, and this setting provides the type of environment we value for both our current use and our future plans. We reside here full-time. I think this property, from their perspective, is way oversized. It's a commercial venture. It destroys, it impairs the integrity of the residential nature of this area, their home, which they have already. They were here before the hurricanes. They fixed up their house. They put all the solar panels in that were permitted by the city. And they want to raise their children here in a manner that it keeps the residential community. Having a normal size operation across the street makes sense from their perspective, whether it's condominiums or a restaurant or a facility like that. But this is a commercial venture that belongs in South Florida or where I come from, Jacksonville, Florida. Not here in Fort Myers, according to my niece and nephew. I respect that we've hired a planner. We're going to be part of the process. If this matter goes to the town council, we respectfully request that you not approve this as proposed, and we hope that we hope to be if you don't approve it, then of course we won't. We would appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Who's our next speaker? Come on up.
Hello, I'm Marcia O'Brien.
Hi,
I'm
Marcia.
a full-time resident of Fort Myers Beach. We live at 6240 Estero, Gulfside 12, right next door. We were never contacted either by London Bay just to get our input, our view on their proposed project. My concern, I am opposed to the amendment. It's in a medium residential district. That property should retain medium residential. It can still have commercial activity as the comprehensive plan allows for. Those commercial activities need to be not intrusive. They need to be compatible with residential, and having multiple bars and restaurants 50 feet from our pool is not compatible and is definitely intrusive. The comprehensive plan also states that it's to protect and save residential areas. And I just think, this area needs to remain residential. That's what it is supposed to be. So I hope you don't approve the amendment and keep it residential. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcia.
Marcia, have you been sworn in prior?
Yes, she
Perfect.
was.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak right now? Yes, sir. We got two people coming at once. Blue shirt first, black shirt. Okay, come on, black shirt.
Hi, my name's Dennis Alfieri. I live at 165 Flamingo. Been
Hi,
there about
Dennis.
12 years. And my feeling is that this overall plan that we're talking about was done. It's a great plan for the town and how it's going to grow, but that's all before this storm hit. Nobody expected the storm did what it did to this island, and it destroyed it. And right now, it's coming back so slow. It's not really livable on the south. There's nothing down here, absolutely nothing. And this project to me looks like the start of the revitalization of this whole island. I think can do nothing but help. And it might be, you might have to break some of the old standards, right? We got to go higher. We got to go do this, do that. I think it's well worth it, especially with the fact that we're going to be dealing with somebody local, a local person involved. You know how much that means? Someone else brought that up. And you get someone from outside of here, they don't give two whats about what's going on. These guys are from here. And we know they do great work. You've seen all the work they've done. They do good work. They're reputable. And to me, I think it's just crazy not to go forward with it. I don't think you'll see anything happen here for years if something doesn't happen. That other thing going on down the road, Seagate or whatever it was, that'd be 15 years the way they're going. These guys have the backing. They have the money. And there's nothing like having someone that has the money that can do this and get it pulled off. It's no joke. It's the truth. But I'm all for it, and I hope that you guys vote for it all the way.
Thank you, Dennis.
Dennis, were you previously sworn?
I was.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dave O'Brien. I'm a full-time resident of Fort Myers Beach, and I reside at Gulfside 12. I'm one of the board members on the association.
And sir, were you
Yes, go-
sworn in?
Yes, I was.
Just wanted
I'm
to say
opposed
that.
to the requested comprehensive plan amendment to change it from mixed use or mixed residential to mixed use. Hopefully you'll indulge me because a few of these might be outside of the realm of this, but I think it's all tied together. Wedging a mixed use special district into the run of residential properties that spans at least a half mile to the south and more than a mile to the north really does not fit with the surrounding residential properties and allows features that will be detrimental to the surrounding residential property owners. Some of those features are building heights that are 300 to 500% greater than allowed by the comprehensive plan. Buildings of this size are incompatible with the immediate surrounding area. The planned number of rooms is 57% greater than allowed in the comprehensive plan, with unit sizes twice the allowed square footage. This means that the density will be far greater than 57%. Will needlessly add to the problematic traffic issue that we have on the island. The planned commercial space is 460% more than allowed by the comprehensive plan. All the commercial space in the surrounding area is east of Estero Boulevard. And why they can't put 360% of the 460% overage on the east side that's, in a commercial area, I don't know if any consideration was ever given to that, but it should. The developer the developer has a beach access path planned on the south side of the property, probably as a public benefit. There's already a beach access path on the north side of Gulfside 12, which we had to put in as part of adding a fourth floor on our property. Do we really need, two beach access paths side by side? And is there really a public benefit to that path? There's 3 planned open air venues on the south side of the planned development that will all serve alcohol. Do all 3 All three do not provide adequate noise buffers and are all within 50% of existing residential property. It is unacceptable to approve variances and allow serving alcohol in venues with this proximity to residential property without any noise buffers. The noise from these venues will adversely affect the residents in all directions. I urge the LPA to not approve the comprehensive plan changes, the variances, and the special exceptions at this time, but rather require the developer to make changes that will allow the development to be more compatible within the residential area that it's adjacent to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Tim Sweeney. I was previously sworn in.
Thank you, Tim.
I am a full-time resident of Fort Myers Beach, living in the Coquina building right next door to the proposed site. I vehemently oppose this proposal. One big thing that never seems to get addressed is the ability of this island to continue to sustain these large developments. We have issues with water pressure. We have issues with drainage. We have issues with plumbing, and this never seems to get addressed. There are no studies. We need, before we approve something this scale, that should be done. I will stipulate that London Bay is a good neighbor, good corporate neighbor. My issue is not with the company. My issue is with the proposal. The scale is simply too big. It furthers the encroachment north. We have to take into consider what was there before. We are going from 3 stories to 15. And we're moving this height from 2 more lots heading north. And this will be the highest point in all of this development. So I stand opposed to it, and I would just like to reiterate that we are not this block of people who are impervious to change. We don't want change. We're the residents of Fort Myers Beach. We understand that change is inevitable, especially after something like Ian. But we want a voice in that change. And I don't like this change. The scale is too much. There's a point where the residents get their needs met and London Bay get their needs met. And we're not there with this proposal. That's all I have.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak right now? Okay, what?
3 hands.
Tom, 3 hands.
I have been sworn in. Tom Brady, Protect FMB. I don't know if this is specific to the CPD, but since we're talking about the project as general and the presentation really incorporate everything at the same time. And the only reason why you would consider a change to the CPD was for some of the things like public benefit.
You mean the comp plan?
Comp plan, sorry.
Yes,
Comp
sir.
plan.
No problem.
First of all, I think that if everybody could agree to throw out the financial decision, I would too. I'm still saying you're dead wrong about the financials that you present. First of all, they only ought to look at incrementals for that property. They look at the entire revenue generated. That property generates revenue today for the town and will continue to do so even if we're developed to the current comp plan. So we only need to look at incremental. We also need to look at the expenses associated with those revenues, and they offset those revenues in most cases. And then you've got to look at if they're not occupied and sold until 2032, then you're not going to see any revenues for them anyway. And if you have a short-term problem, that's not going to solve it. We really ought to move this to the financial group inside of the town, though, or let's swear in some financial people. I worked at Fortune 1. I ran a $300 million business. I have credentials too, but it's all just us non-sworn and experts speaking to it. And maybe we ought to just put it all off to that. What I do have concerns about, and I would, if I were an LPA member, I would say that things like the water taxi, okay, so it's not moved, but So what? The town doesn't regulate that. Can somebody at some point in the future come in, take over that property and change their mind? Or can the condominium association, when they take control of that, come in and say, okay, we're going to run that taxi up and down the Charlies? What happens if the agreement was just with the Millers and the Millers leave the island? Then is there any reason to keep that kind of Texas handshake in place? So don't count benefits that can't stay forever. There was a lot of discussion about permanent benefits for public benefits to the town, and I think they should be permanent. I have the same concerns about the tiki bar in that they control the tiki bar. It's not a town tiki bar, and businesses support themselves. If they decide that they don't like that tiki bar, I buy a condominium there. I decide I don't like that tiki bar in there. I can raise the price of a beer to $12 or $30, and I can chase all the riffraff out if I don't like the people coming into my tiki bar. Again, I think that public benefit for that piece of property, for that linear park, which I hate that definition, but I think 5 feet of that is already a public access to that beach. So what have you added? And do you have to have a setback also? So is there a 20-foot setback and a 5 feet? And what they're really giving is an additional 5 feet. So I think those kind of things that didn't come out in the presentation and need to be looked at. The permanency. And I think as far as the revenues are concerned, you could potentially look at property values in the area increasing. But that's speculation. And I can guarantee you, though, that the property values, well, can't guarantee you, but my assumption is, and the reason why people are complaining is the property values for those living in single family homes next door are going to go down, not up. So some will suffer. The island as a whole may benefit. Is that enough to give them an exemption for 195 feet? Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I saw a couple of other hands. If you'd like to speak now, remember there'll be other opportunities. Come on. Did I see somebody else in the back? Yes, ma'am, you'll be next.
Good afternoon. Dave Kelly. I was sworn in. I'm a resident 4142 Bay Beach Lane, also from Grandview. So I'm here in support of the project. I certainly sympathize and can understand the viewpoints of the folks that are maybe immediately adjacent to this property. However, I think the greater good of the town and specifically the south end of Fort Myers Beach desperately needs a development like this. We basically have two opportunities on the south end of the island between the Wyndham and the Outrigger property to put in an anchor that will help this community. It's why many of us bought here. It's why I chose to buy here, right? I used to live on Fort Myers Beach, or I'm sorry, Fort Lauderdale Beach. I know what it's like to live in a big beach town. This is never going to be Fort Lauderdale Beach. We bought here because we wanted the vibe of Fort Myers Beach. The problem is I didn't get the vibe of Fort Myers Beach because of Ian, not because of anybody here, not because of anyone who is opposed to these developments. But I really think it's critical for the lifestyle, as Mark has said, for my neighbors, that we get the opportunity to have these anchors in our community for the future. I think it's interesting and probably about what I expected. I think if I kind of objectively looked at most of my friends and my neighbors, it's pretty evenly split of the folks that are for this or against this. Feels public comment is fairly balanced on both sides of that equation as well. So I would ask you, look, we recognize the immediate impact to these neighbors. I ask you to look at the greater good for the island as a whole, and particularly for us residents of the south end of the island. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, come on. Do we have any speakers after this lady? All right. You're going to sum it up.
Okay. Hi, I'm Wendy Sweeney.
Wendy, were you sworn in?
Sworn in.
Okay, good.
I also live across the street. Yes. At 6100 Estero Boulevard in the condominium. We bought shortly before Ian. It has taken a long time to get things built back up. I don't have my notes or anything. I left them at home. But what I want to say is also what my husband said is about the water, the drainage, the going to the bathroom. How's there going to be enough? They're going to have this big thing. You know, we have enough problems with getting things back together at our condo. And it's been quite a while since then. One of the things, they built a new place on Flamingo. They had to drain underneath it. The water, 2 weeks, it was flooding all of Flamingo. I don't know how all that got there. I don't know. Then the next building, the house that they're building on Flamingo, the same thing. Big ditches along the side of it. I said, is that drainage? I know it was drainage. They said no, but they didn't understand English. So there you go. Yeah, right? But I do not support this. We stayed at our outrigger. We stayed at the Wyndham. We stayed at the Pierview. We stayed at Neptune. We bought here because we love it here. We still love it here. Things are going good. Your business is wonderful. I love going there.
Thank you.
But this place is just too big. Somebody else said about how tall that I don't have ceilings that high, and I don't touch the ceiling. You know, it's too big. It's just too big. Miami had something, the whole thing fell because of the structure underneath. And that's goes with us of having more things underneath. Coquina was built with parking underneath. We were saved a lot from Ian because of that build. But this build is too big. The tiki bar doesn't look like it's on the property. When we first bought here, people from the outrigger would park in our parking lot and just come and go back and forth. Well, we will probably have to put up a gate. The thing of it is, if I bought there, I wouldn't want to have people renting. I live there full time and people coming in and out for their vacation. That would take away my privacy, things like that. I just say no. I probably have more to say, but that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Okay. Okay, if there's no one else, is there anyone else who'd like to speak right now? All right, seeing no one else, we'll close the public comment for this hearing. And we'll, Rich, I'll give you a chance to address anything that was raised that you might feel the need to discuss.
I'm not going to go tit for tat, but I do want to correct one thing on the record. The one person who talked or testified as to what we own and what we don't own,
Yes, sir.
we have a survey. We own from the road to the mean high water line. So everything we're asking for is on our property. We do own it. We provided the survey to the town staff as part of the review. Other than that, I think that I appreciate everybody coming and spending their time, giving their opinion. I can tell you, I've been doing this a long time, and usually we don't have very many people go from the public speaking in favor of projects. They're usually opposed. But as you can see, there are a lot of people who are in favor of this project, and I think they see the benefits that we've explained to the south side and the economic benefit that will happen if this project is approved. The corollary is, if this is not approved, I think there are some pretty dire consequences to the development or redevelopment or revitalization of the town. This is a good project. It provides a lot of public benefits, and we're happy to address any concerns that staff has raised regarding making sure in the comp plan amendment, the standards are there so that you can assure yourselves that the CPD is consistent with the comp plan.
Thank you.
Other than that, I don't think we really have anything else.
Thank you. You'll have another shot, Nancy. Don't worry.
I'm sorry. We did provide you with over 50 letters of support together as part of the project. I don't know if everybody has seen all of those letters, but there is a lot of support for this project, both in person and in
Thank
writing.
you, Rich. Thank you very much. Okay, so Jason, could we go through each element here, and we'll see if there's discussion on it and try to come to some resolution on whether or not to adopt this comprehensive plan amendment.
Sure.
So
I think Nancy mentioned, yeah. So you've got the legal description, which is part of the site-specific component of that. And then you have some categories of permitted uses, height and stories, intensity, density,
Let's just stop at
All that.
permitted uses.
Yep.
Any objections from anybody on the permanent uses that are listed within this document? No? Okay, keep
So,
going.
so the only
Jason.
thing in there that stood out to us essentially was that they're defining in that, if you see that paragraph, the public benefits and
That
that
they're defining what?
the public benefit.
Yes, that is a concern.
Okay, so
And-
that's including that paragraph.
I
That's why
know,
I
but
brought that up.
does that memorialize or affirm that we're agreeing these are public benefits?
I would say so, yes.
You would say so. Okay.
It feeds into the CPD ultimately to say, we're asking for this, this, and this kind of in exchange for that, correct?
And it is a
And-
finite list. It is not including but not limited to. It is just, this is what they are.
Mhm. Jim, were you going to say something?
No, I'm kinda ready.
You're okay. So if that were eliminated, because there's also some questions about the wave mitigation wall, which is also memorialized here.
Yeah, I think that the challenge between the policy and the other applications that are going to implement it is elimination. Then you get to the CPD and you're asking, what is the public benefit? And then you're discussing or negotiating that, I guess. That's the only downside to the elimination. But to your point, yes, this is memorializing some things that may or may not be able to be completed.
So, were you going to say something?
I'll let you.
Well,
I
I'm
am, but I'll.
No,
let
go
you
ahead.
finish.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, if we're saying that including that is part of this discussion, then I would like to point out that several things actually, that the public benefit definition in the new comp plan excludes code requirements from being considered as a benefit. Therefore, landscaping, signage, pedestrian crossings, any road or infrastructure requirements should all be excluded from consideration as a public benefit. And I think I would start with that. And if we're going to talk about the wave wall as part of it, I'll have a comment on that after we deal with public benefits.
And if I may add to that, I just realized, because maybe I misread it, but I don't think the bathrooms are on this list either, which was part of the presentation of the CPD is public restrooms.
Well, my question is just why wouldn't this paragraph end with plan development rezoning, period, and eliminate the last sentence, which includes all the public benefit uses and the coastal storm? Does that need to even be in there? But I mean.
So then that would leave your interpretation of a public benefit to the CPD essentially.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And actually, we still haven't got a clear definition on public benefits, whether they're exclusive to the public, whether they're mutual between the developer and the public, or whether they're perpetual or not. So I would agree with Anita. I think.
Right. That's because in the
we open a different door by not ending this before this.
Okay. And that's because the 2045 plan, if you remember, calls for the public benefits ordinance, which hasn't been drafted yet. It's all part of the update to the LDC. And so right now it's open to your discussions during the PD part. What's reasonable and makes sense.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I understand it, but also trying to determine how we disconnect it. We don't move forward with this piece. What happens to the other pieces?
We could still move forward and talk to them, but it's essential that this moves forward.
Which is why the conversation has to stay like this.
Yes.
Not like this.
Right.
Because this is the building block for everything else we're going to talk about in my mind. The rest of it becomes moot or at least ineffective.
Well, if you want it to stay like this, global, then this section
out
needs to be removed. Because that's
Because this is
specific.
specifics.
Understood. But if we don't tailor the public benefit dialogue around our impact on our decision here, and we don't approve this, when does it come in?
In the
In
CPD.
the CPD.
It won't work if this isn't done.
The CPD can have the
We can have the
discussion.
conversation, but it's moot to the decision not to move forward with the comp plan. If we don't move forward with the comp plan, what do we build off of?
You can move forward with the comp plan without the statement of what
Oh,
public
okay.
benefits
So
are.
you're not saying it's material to your decision to move forward with the comp plan?
No, I'm saying that this doesn't belong in this section. I don't believe it belongs in this section. It's minutia.
permitted use.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, I would
If
agree.
the entire, like Rich and Alexa and Alexis and everybody else said at the beginning, if this incorporated the whole CPD, then this is pertinent, but it currently does not. What we have before us is not simply, a comprehensive plan amendment. And so in the comprehensive spirit of the comprehensive plan, it should be broad in nature and not so specific, especially identifying something like public benefit, which the town so far has not identified.
Right, yeah, we all agree on that. What I'm saying is you can't disregard the thinking about the overall project when you're making this first component decision.
I don't.
So as long as we're agreeing all of this goes in the mix to make the cake, we just may not put this ingredient on the box,
Mhm.
but it's going to be in there to bake it
Eventually.
right now. When we vote on this one, we're going to eat what we cook right here.
Correct. I don't want to eat the public benefits in this amendment.
We can leave it out of the ingredients, but it's going to be in there in our thinking. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have any?
Yeah,
Hey,
I
new
think,
guy.
hey,
You see
new
what I'm
guy.
saying? Did you follow that train of thought? Dunlap's or mine?
I did, and I'm not eating what he's cooking.
You're not eating what Jim's cooking.
That's a different story. That has nothing to do with this.
You may eat it. The ingredients are not in the package.
Okay, all right. Doug?
Anita, I'd have to agree with Anita because although are looking for public benefits when we
Absolutely.
get farther down the road here we're discussing things that we're not even sure, retail, restaurants, coastal storm risk mitigation improvements. I'm not sure that's a public benefit anyways.
Correct.
So that's to be determined in subsequent dialogue. But for the comprehensive plan, what we're doing, although it's medium residential now, by right, they have a right to build a hotel with 144 rooms,
They do.
regardless. So I don't see it as that big a leap as it might seem it's not going from medium residential to this. It's going from 144 room hotel to this,
Correct.
really. So my comment.
Well, plus the 10,000 square feet they were entitled to under the existing CPD to the 46,000 square feet.
That's correct.
Of commercial.
Right.
Okay, let's go on to height and stories. So this says that the maximum building height is 195 feet measured from Florida Department of Environmental Protection, lowest horizontal structural member. Boy, I had to look that up. Never heard it talked about like that. To midpoint of the roof and 15 stories inclusive of parking on the first 2 floors. Anybody have any heartburn over this one?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, it's 195 feet. I mean, I think it's actually more than 195 feet, maybe.
It is.
But
From
because of the-
ground level or base,
Yeah.
it's 215 feet, 1 inch.
Yeah.
But it's 195 from the
Right.
lowest horizontal structural member.
And I think I contacted Jason earlier in the week. I think we need to have some consistency. Is it going to be ground level base? Is it going to be base flood elevation? Or is it going to be the FDEP? Because we should have apples to apples comparison. And that the graph that was sent earlier, you can't tell from this what we're comparing to. And so I think for clarity's sake, we should at least mention, if you're going to consider making the amendment, that you should add language that laymen understand, not the FD.
Were you holding up the graphic of all the
Yeah.
south end?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they all are total, I think they're all total building heights. I think that is
From
'cause
what level?
from ground,
Well, except theirs is.
except we think
so
theirs is
there's
not
no
right.
Comparison if theirs is.
But we know the other ones are because they're
Well,
all
do we?
there.
They're
Well,
existing.
I know at least a couple of them.
I don't know because I think I got the information that from the staff that they don't have that information.
So I would.
Jason, can't you tell us?
I don't know what they measured from. The applicant provided that exhibit. So, I mean, maybe worthy to ask them if they could
I
tell
think
whether it's
that-
from ground or, I think they did some aerial surveys of that.
Yeah, we don't know what they measured from, but we know what the other buildings are measured from. I mean, I know Island Winds. We know Island Winds
Right.
height. So
I think there was some question as to any building that was approved before incorporation, that information may not be available.
oh, okay.
So
Right.
any of these buildings that were built prior to incorporation, I'm not certain.
So
I ask-
I would, the applicant answer that, but I would assume that those elevations, if they're surveyed from aerial or drone or something, are probably from grade.
Correct.
Rich, I'm Rich, hold on. I'm just going to give you a rule right now.
Okay.
This isn't presentation time. This is LPA discussion time. So you're welcome to address a question, but without propaganda.
No, I wasn't going to. I was going
Okay.
to make a suggestion. maybe about
Please,
the height
go right
discussion,
ahead.
If that's okay. Yeah. One thing we do in Cuyahoga County is we talk about zone height, which is measured from the minimum flood elevation. And then we talk about what's the actual height as measured from grade. So my understanding is our actual height as measured from grade is 198 feet.
As measured from grade?
Grade.
But that's not what
That's
this
not-
says.
yes, That's not in any of the
There's-
One-
There's two different measurements, remember, from grade and from minimum flood elevation. So what my architect is telling me is that from the grade, it's 198, but as you measure from minimum flood elevation, it's 195. You just asked about that.
Yeah.
can't-
So
that can't be.
there's a 20-foot elevation on the
20-foot
flood, just so you
elevation.
know.
I'll
So-
let the architect explain.
From sea level.
Okay.
Correct. Thank you.
Mr. Architect, have you ever been qualified as an expert here?
No, I haven't been here before.
Well, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Miguel Campo, and I'm a design director of a company called 10 Design. It used to be known as SB Architects. We're specialized in mixed use and hospitality projects like this.
Miguel, has anybody ever told you look like a Don Quixote?
Many times, including my wife.
I'll bet. You're like a perfect
I think
caricature of
my
Don
wife likes
Quixote.
Don Quixote.
And
I think that's fabulous.
That's the Spanish connection.
Exactly. It's the Spanish connection. May we please accept Miguel as a.
So
as-
moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Yes, we had an exhibit on the presentation which showed the height measure from finished grade to the top of the crown of the building, which was 198, and it showed all the other buildings alongside. The code, that's real height. How the code measures it is.
Miguel, are you talking about this illustration?
Thank you.
Okay.
That's perfect because you can compare.
Could you guys put this illustration up? Thank you, Rich. It really does look like Don Quixote.
So 198 is the total from ground level, from grade.
As a human would
to the
perceive
peak.
it, not thinking code.
Right. Okay.
That's,
As a human, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
As a
I
human,
like
that's
that.
how we perceive height.
yeah.
I can
Yes.
follow that.
So, but obviously codes have definitions of how we measure height because there's minimum flood elevations that we have to work with as we build resilient structures throughout. So the code asks us to measure height from the design flood elevation, but we've also gotten comments from planning officials to actually measure it from the real flood elevation, which is the Florida FDEP, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, lowest horizontal structural member. It's a mouthful, but it just means that roughly about 20 feet NAVD is where we start measuring height. And it's not really to the crown of the building, but in a pitch roof, it's to the mean height of that. So there's a lot of nuances there that we're trying to notify you as how we measure height.
But
per
Miguel,
your
then,
code.
then 195 or 198 or whatever
Yeah.
is not from the ground, from standing with your feet on the ground. You've got the measuring tape, you boom, it's down on the ground, and you're going up 195 feet. That's not the measurement. That measurement starts at 21 feet.
Yeah, that's how the code is telling us to measure.
Okay,
Not,
so
but not
that's what we're
necessarily
saying.
from
So it's-
ground level.
So it's really 215.
Yes.
No.
No,
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 no, no.
no, it's 198.
From finished grade, He answered a different question.
So they're talking about how the code says to measure. What we want to know is how tall is the building?
I want to know if you're standing, if I've got a
If you're on the
measuring
ground,
tape
how
on
tall
the
is the
ground,
building?
going to the top of the roof, how
That
tall
peak.
is it?
98.
How the exhibit shows is 198.
Yes.
So
So the exhibit shows it,
So
and that's
what it
what you're
says.
planning, correct? The exhibit shows 198, and that is the plan. From the sand
From
to
the
the
sand.
peak.
To the crown.
Right.
To the
But that's not what the language.
It's not what the language says.
says.
They're
Okay.
adjust, yeah.
Yeah, so we can adjust the language, it sounds like.
But how this
We need to
defines
do
it
anyway.
is short. Hope that helps.
What is
So
Did
I'm
he just
just
call you
going to
short?
tell you that this is what the lovely Miguel just explained is not what it says right here.
I know. We gave you how you measure height under the Florida Building Code versus, you asked two different things. There's two different things.
Yeah, but the height didn't change. That's the problem, right? So I think what you're getting at,
Yes.
Madam Chairman, is the
Right.
195 should have changed to one whatever.
200.
Or it should have said 198.
The
from
195 would
grade.
change to one, I think to 177. if
Something
I'm
like
not
that.
mistaken.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
That's right.
The other way, Margaritaville, I remember, was from grade, or from design grade. So there's other examples that we've used in the past where you just said, let's use a regular number to here, right? Yes, he's correct. We measure generally height in our codes from base flood, but this is a new policy that.
But it's not 215 in any case.
Right.
That's what it sounds like.
I think the right
Right.
answer is, if we use the words we have in our document today, that number should be 177.
That's right.
177.
177, yeah.
Okay. Not 195.
That was
It should
my
be
math.
177.
Not that I'm-
Thank goodness you're here.
That's a big change.
It is a big change.
But if you're
It's a floor.
comparing, you know now it's 198 from grade versus that document.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the Collier County way.
I
Actual would be
I don't care
198.
about those people.
But they did put that in there because people were saying,
Okay,
Richard.
listen, everybody, you can't be talking amongst yourselves. That's not this time. So you won't get more cookies.
And but the reason Carter County added that is because people were saying, you're not really telling me what it is to the tippy top. So
Yes.
they wanted truth in advertising, which I think is what you were asking for.
Yes, we'd like truth in advertising. That's a very good way to look at it. Yeah, okay. All right. So is everybody clear on the 177?
Yep.
Are you clear on this, Jason?
I am. Now it's back to you if that's what you want.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody have any objections to 177? Dunlap does not. How about you, Don?
Do I have an objection to 177 or the fact that that's what's in here?
177.
Yeah, I have concerns with it being 177. Still taller than anything on the south end from grade.
And how about you, Doug? Heights on 177?
I want to ask Jason one quick. When, in our normal ordinances or our comprehensive plan, when we talk about like stories, are we talking above the base flood elevation or are we talking about the FDEP design flood elevation and our other interpretations?
From where we measure from
Yeah.
typically with height. Well, it changes depending on where you are, but on this side in the DEP area, they have a special study for this
Yeah,
island.
on
And
the-
so we measure
From the DEP.
we measure height from that. Doesn't mean you can't
So
measure
it's
total height, but
standard practice to use when we're on the beach side to use the FDEP
yes.
design flood elevation.
Correct.
Okay.
It can be. I mean, honestly, what you're looking for, I think what I'm hearing, you're looking for a fixed amount. And so either way you do it is fine.
Yeah, I'm just thinking 15 stories with parking above the design flood elevation.
So I don't know that you're going to get 2 stories of parking. Well, I don't know if we should go down that rabbit hole, but I can't tell you how many stories of the parking they're going to get below the DEP number. I don't know. Okay. So
So
they
are we
parking
talking
could
about-
creep
are we
into above
talking
that
about
number.
13 stories above, 13 livable stories above the design flood elevation?
Maybe. It depends on how high their parking structure is. It depends on the roof of each of the units. That's why you pick a fixed point and pick a number from that point. Whether it's flood or whether it's grade, you pick the number and they're stuck with that box.
I mean, I'm okay with the 177.
Yeah.
I'm just
So
trying to
we're changing
get a
it.
definition.
Right. If that number lowers, that 20, if that number lowers because of site study,
about 12 feet
it's
per
still
story.
177 above, right? If it goes
That's
up,
right.
it's still 177 above. So it's
And it's great even if you bring the grade up, right? Like a lot of
Correct.
places you bring grade up to.
correct. That flood
Up 6
DEP
feet.
number is
Right.
whatever it is, it is. Yes.
Right.
So if you,
Jason, do you have
Oh,
any
that's true, too.
concern that, wait, before I go to that, Jane, do you have any concerns about 177?
you're right.
I think it's high, and I think that, I think the fact that it says 195, we have to change that, but I think it is too tall. I
Okay.
just think it's too tall.
Jim, any concerns about 177?
I think it should be 175 because the FDEP line is 20 feet 1 inches above grade. So if you take 20 feet
No, it's
and
not
add
above
to
grade.
175,
It's above the NAVD.
Sea
data,
level. Sea
which
level.
is something like sea level.
the FDEP line is 20 feet above grade.
No.
You got two engineers in a planner saying no, sorry. honey.
That was in the material.
Oh, look, so
It's a
far.
fine, it's a fine point, but you have to remember that their lot is not zero. Their lot is 4 to 5 feet above sea level already. And then if they're going to 20, that's about 15 feet above their existing lot. And to the point that was made earlier, no structural fill can be brought in here because it's V zone. So they're working basically with they would have to go through much more engineering, get pre-approvals to do it. But in general, you're not allowed to bring in more fill to build on the V zone.
Jason, can you tell us
So-
who you are real quick?
I apologize. My name is Jason Smalley. I'm the senior
welcome to
planner.
Hey, were you sworn in?
I'm pretty sure I was. There was a lot of swearing earlier.
Okay, so Jim, any issue with 177?
No.
How about you?
No issue with 177.
Oh, I have an issue with 177, Mark. You've known that from day one. I have an issue with that. And now let me throw a ratchet into this. Does anyone have a concern that 177 is a blanket number across the entire parcel as opposed to just a particular building?
Yes.
Yes.
For the record, I have a problem with 177, but I'm not opposed to something higher than the plan allows.
I agree.
Just so
I agree.
we're clear.
But
But I hear
like
you. Yes.
everyone expressed, and people want to say, what's the number? Give me the number. Ed Ryan always wants to say, is 10 stories too high? Is it 15? Is it 2? Is it whatever? I don't know what that number is. It's sort of like, the proverbial question, how do you know something? And the answer is when you see it. And that's this.
But we
this
do
for me.
have some comparisons.
We do.
in the area.
We do have comparisons. Yes, we do.
yeah.
And we
But
do have
those
comparisons.
are all south of this building.
They
of-
are.
Of this site. None of them are north. This would push the high-rise boundary north.
Dramatically. It would. So let me just ask the question, how could the height that you're stipulating here be limited to a particular building? Because you've got, 4 buildings, and 177 only pertains to the residential units, as I understand it.
I think there's multiple ways to do it. My suggestion would be is to attach the exhibit. That's the master plan, because that master plan identifies the number of stories of each one of those buildings. So you would then know for sure that it's just the residential condo only building that is the 15 stories over 2 of parking. You have an exhibit that will show you how the heights vary, and then you'll know that's the building. That's 177, and all the others, we could probably figure out the calculation. Please don't make me do it right this minute, but doing the same calculation that we did before. One of the things I'd like to point out is all of those buildings were built a long, long time ago. If they were knocked down, they're going up another 15 feet anyway to get to their current height. So they're going to have to make adjustments as well. So I think we're probably consistent, but
Could,
maybe
could
that
I
was
make a
editorial.
suggestion? Could I make a suggestion on the height and stories, that the height and stories simply say, if the CPD is incorporated within the amendment, or the amendments or vice versa, could the height and stories element of this amendment simply stipulate the approval as approved in commercial plan development ABC, whatever? Do you all follow what I'm saying? So we don't stipulate anything right here. We say the height and stories is memorialized within the attached CPD. I don't know. Do you follow it, Jason?
I think so. I was trying to think, is there, maybe it's a better way to list the buildings and what they are and the
You could
heights of
list-
them? Is that?
But then that's
I don't know,
essentially the
Rick.
CPD.
Yeah, but it's avoiding a picture being part of this. You can do it. It's just,
Let me
I was trying to avoid putting more pictures in here.
Let me ask Nancy a question. Okay. Can we put a provision in here that basically says that one of the criteria of the comp plan is that it has to be adopted pursuant to the CPD adopted on the same date as the comp plan? I think that's.
I don't, my first thought, Rich, is how do we deal with a consistency issue? Because it's the comp plan that has, or the CPD that has to be consistent with the comp plan, yet you're saying that the comp plan is dependent on the.
Well, we would incorporate the CPD into the comp plan is what I'm saying. That would be the consistency. Instead of regurgitating everything that's in the CPD. Otherwise, I say, let's just put everything that's in the CPD in the comp plan.
Well, and I was saying, if you have building 1, 49 unit residential condo,
that's fine.
177 feet. Building 2, I don't know if they're labeled like that on the master
I
concept
think
plan.
Jason Green's proposal is a compromise.
That's
I
fine.
mean, because it does identify the buildings and puts a limitation on the height of the various buildings. So you may say that there's no more than X number of buildings, and then kind of define.
But by
It's
memorializing that here,
we can do that.
and then we get to the CPD, what if somebody doesn't like that height on the CPD?
They would have to come back and amend this.
Well, so
That's why I
I
tried to say that first.
I
We
know.
don't do this that way with some specificity in here. We're going to come back or it's going to be unclear.
Well, my suggestion was specific, but leaving it blank for you to have that next discussion. So the format of this could be building 1, building 2, and what it is, building 1 residential condo, building 2 hotel condominium, building 3, whatever it is, right?
We could say the 15-story building is
Restricted.
177. We could say that the 11-story building is, I'm making up a number, I'll get you the real number, is 155. We can do that to give you that specificity. We're looking that up right now so that we can get what Jason's saying, and we can get that into the comp plan so you'll know those numbers.
What
That's
if,
what your desire is.
what if we said the entire development was 158 feet, was the tallest? I mean, your other buildings are 158
building
at the
taller
tallest. Because you've got, Point Estero is 158. And you've got 158 on your other buildings.
But remember, Point Estero, you're going to go 15 feet more. If they
I'm not
rebuild it.
rebuilding Point Estero, I'm just talking about this one. I'm just asking, would 158 for the development work?
I think what we don't like
Mr.
about that is we were trying to break up the massing of the building, and it
Yeah.
would look a lot nicer than if you make us go 158, the whole look of the project.
I was
Oh,
going to.
Rich, we're not making you do anything.
No, I'm
You're
just
asking permission.
I'm just, well, by the
I'm looking
way,
at both places, but I'm saying is,
But-
I'm saying the consequence of a uniform 158 changes the
Right,
whole
well-
look of the whole. look of
well,
the
it
project.
could, or you could maybe drop the other ones to 146 or 142 or whatever, right? I mean, you could still, with the design of these buildings, I mean, you've got pitched, kind of hipped roof lines, right? So I'm just asking. I
No,
mean,
no,
maybe
I don't
there's
think-
something that maybe could garner some more support if we,
Well-
and Mark knows this because I've said it both times I met with him. I mean, the height is going to be one of the biggest issues.
So let me ask the team, because we just went around the 177. This reminds me a bit of EIBC, when we so valued the view corridors, and they built the building accordingly, and then they got turned down because it was too high. So we went fatter this way, and the view corridor disappeared. So if we take 2 stories off the tallest building and add it to the other buildings, Do we feel better?
Nobody said add it.
I'm suggesting it as a
Okay.
177 mitigant.
I mean, but I mean,
Do we solve anything?
but Jim, I don't know that if 158 was the tallest again, I mean, maybe the one building that's 3 stories, maybe it goes to 5. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
It could, right? But if it's, I mean, they've done a great job of stepping it back. So, I mean, there's probably another way. I'm just trying to find maybe a win-win for
I think to
everyone.
address your question and issue, sir, Jim, was I think you still got to list the buildings kind of as those heights, right? Because
Not necessarily, not if you're saying a maximum height for this mixed use development, so we're
Right.
staying general, is 158 feet.
then you could end up with 1 building or 2 buildings
It
that take
could
up the
be
whole
whatever. That's the maximum height.
I
And
know,
then when we get to the CPD,
Mhm.
those heights could be identified within the CPD. But I think what
Okay.
Don is trying, you're doing this because you're finding a compromise of the high-rise developments of the south end of the island and saying, here's a high point, match it.
Yeah, and I also understand the economics of needing the development to work, and there's probably maybe another way that gets, one comes down to 10 floors or 12 or whatever, and maybe something in the back. So, there may be some compromise. And, I think everyone, or I think a lot of people would like to see a project move here, and maybe this is a step towards
And you
getting.
have guardrails anyways,
Right.
because it's 196 units, so.
That's right.
May I? The reason we're opposed to doing that is if we do what you're suggesting, now we're putting some of the residential units into the hotel building. And our preference is to keep the residential in the residential building and the hotel in the hotel building. So that's the method to the madness for how we stair step these down, is so we can put the residential in a standalone building to be purely residential. And then the transient uses would be in another transient building. And
Yeah,
that's the
we
rationale.
get that.
Yeah, I get that. So could I ask one more question? How big are the condos in the 15-story building? What's the square footage? Guessing between 2,000 and 4,000 square feet. If I had to guess.
That's a pretty good guess.
Mark?
You gotta be on the microphone.
The short answer is most of the units are between 2 and 3,500, and the penthouses will possibly go up to 4,000 feet.
Mark, you brought up the emotional, all of that at the beginning, and I usually reflect all of that. And I'd like you to really listen to what Don is saying here. This happened in the Margaritaville case at the dais of the council, not at the LPA. This happened in the Margaritaville. And what the compromises accomplished was a unanimous vote by the council to approve Margaritaville. And at the time, it was highly controversial. It was important to have that unanimous vote. And in this room, you have heard great testimony from people who live next door to you, people who live on this island, who they're not saying we hate London Bay, because you have proven yourself as a commodity that Fort Myers Beach is proud to have. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
And I understand that, and I appreciate that.
But I think you should consider accommodations.
Right.
And I think you should consider them because it's being offered in the spirit of maybe we can work this out and maybe everybody could get behind this project and that would be extraordinary.
Okay.
So you just think about it.
Okay.
Okay. Jane?
I'm bringing up the comment about view corridor versus height. In this situation, there is no view corridor because it starts at 21 feet. And so there's no way to have a view corridor for the public.
Yeah, that, I wasn't trying to compare
No, I
two
know.
projects.
You're
Yeah.
trying.
I was
tall
talking
and
about, we
skinny
asked
versus
them
fat.
to give us a view, they went tall.
Right.
Then we
It's
said we
this
don't like
versus
tall,
that.
now go
Yeah.
short.
No, I agree. I mean, this has a lot of character and that's much better than a big box.
Absolutely.
And that's where we're concerned to lose,
Right.
is the character. If you say the maximum height is 158, you fit it in, however you want to do it. You'll give us everything else we asked for, and you get 158 feet.
We haven't gotten
I
there
mean-
yet,
But,
Rich.
but you're, that's what I'm asking. Look, we're all, cards are on the table. Are we going to get a uniform height of 158 feet and get a unanimous recommendation, not tinkering with anything else? The number of units that we want, the square footage we want, uniform height of 158. We just got to find it. Is that the?
I think everybody's going to want you to find it in a similar way, right? Like you've done a good job with the project. The project's far better in the second round than the first round, right? So I think everybody's going to still want the character, right? But I think probably, I'm not an architect, but I think you could find a way. And maybe it's not 3,500, maybe it's 3,000 square feet. Maybe it's, maybe there's 5 floors on top of the 3-story building.
And that may be what we do.
Right.
What we're asking is, are you going to give us the flexibility to decide how to fit the units on the site without making sure we never go above 158 feet measured from Florida Department, blah, blah, blah.
I think there's a very good chance.
We get the envelope and you fit it in however you want to fit it in.
We still need to discuss
that-
more area ratio. So
there's-
there's still
Chair,
other
there's
things
a
to
few other
discuss.
issues.
But that's why I made the point about the buildings, because what I hear him saying is that CPD gets redesigned.
Yeah.
And it becomes,
We'll just
So-
do uniform maximum 158 feet.
Listen, the takeaway doesn't work on this group. That
Yeah.
that psychology
Yeah.
does not work with this
Yeah.
group because they're
Yeah.
too
But I
smart.
thought that's what you were asking us. Is
No,
No,
we're
no.
not. We're
So
no,
I'm not.
Let me see if I can understand, Anita. You're asking us to take the residential tower down by 2 stories effectively, right?
Effectively, that's what I'm
Effectively
asking.
2 stories, and you are willing to give us credit and make sure that we can take others up. So economically, we can still make this work. I have a big concern. Clearly, that where we were before, we've already reduced it by 2 stories. We've reduced the hotel by 1 story. Part of that was from discussions with those that were here at the time, and also from City Council. So we've been sensitive to that. We also heard that Seagate obviously got a lot of remorse, perhaps by a lot of people after the event, and that was 17 stories. And we said, okay, we're not going to put ourselves hopefully through the same grinder as that, and reduced it by 2 stories. My big concern is, I started off by saying, design really matters. And we think that stepping down and moving up design really helps. I'd also ask you, other than there's one building on the beach that's 158, is anybody really going to know from the water or from the street whether you're 158 or 178? And if the design is appreciated and it's thoughtful and it gets us to where we need to do economically, clearly a condo unit is worth more to me than a hotel unit. And making sure that the residences have their own specific building is material to being able to sell them. It's not like I can go, oh, I'll tell you what, I'll pluck those units off there and I'll put them over here, because I'll have obviously a different use. So those are my concerns. I mean, I'd like to hear if there are other asks, and let's go through the list and see, so I'm not negotiating point by point with you. I don't think that's a fair thing to do. I'd rather hear comprehensively what are the concerns. Let's get through those and then maybe we can address that. Is that
Fair enough. Yep.
fair.
Yeah.
Height is a concern. So let's go on to the next.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to say something else on that?
Well, related to the comprehensive plan amendment, yes. So I would like to see what the group thinks about 2 factors here. One, the other mixed-use zoning districts in the comp plan are all east of Estero. so that the intensity and the density was not on the beach. Second, the other districts have multiple users, multiple owners. Is there any issue having a unique comp plan amendment for one specific site? And what kind of precedent does that set? So I would like those two issues discussed.
Something light. Ed, you want to start in on that?
Sure, give me the hardest one. I think it does start a precedent, but I think that what we've done with the comp plan has made this path a viable path for developers, and that's why I believe they're going this direction.
Jane?
Well, I don't like the idea of making something special for one property on the island because.
But that's what we do in zoning cases.
I know, but we are
Everybody
changing.
becomes special.
Yeah, but the difference is that we're not rewriting history in doing so. We're using our comp plan, and it is the comp plan for the
And
whole
zoning
island.
is different than comp plan.
It's true. That's true. That's true. Doug, you have any comments on what Jim raised?
I guess I have to admit, I'm not sure exactly why we have to amend the comprehensive plan when we could do other mechanisms or that would be, if you could explain that to me.
Sure. So under state law, they have a right, anybody has a right to amend the plan. They can come in with an application. Typically, you would see somebody picking a category that already exists. But there is small scale site specific amendments in the statutes. That's what they chose to do, is apply for that since they were unique. Otherwise, they would be pulling from an existing category and then asking for this site to be amended to that category. Pedestrian is an example. They could pull from the pedestrian category and request that. I think the attempt was to probably do these specifics to put the guardrails on. They'd have to answer that question, but that's why they've asked to create a new category. In order to create the new category, you got to amend the plan.
Just sort of,
I think
makes the whole process more
Right.
efficient.
And it's different than let's create a new, I don't know, general office category or commercial, whatever, urban commercial. There's lots of different names for things. They're not creating a new category that somebody else can apply for later on. This is supposed to be specific to this site. So you're not going to have somebody else come along and say, I now want to have the outrigger mixed use district down a mile south of here, right? You're not going to get that.
But we have seen in this presentation that they have said, and we want the Neptune parking issue. And, you know.
Oh, no, they wanted the FAR in the Neptune. We did not include parking
right.
in the FAR calculation, and that's why he brought that up.
Right.
I think building on what Doug, I think what and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is there, instead of the comprehensive plan, was there another avenue? A rezoning, a development agreement, a CPD, with any combination of those? Could have this project been accomplished without dealing with comp plan, which is, as Anita said, the big box? Could we have been more specific in the approach?
That's a good, well, there's guardrails and limits on the other categories, right? And they have a category assigned to them. Was it medium, residential, whatever the category is, that has an FAR limit. I guess in theory, they could have done a similar process with a CPD and ask for deviation from what's being counted towards that FAR. And then you'd have a really even bigger list, right? My guess is the limitations on FAR and the limitations on what's in medium residential, the uses and the mixture, is probably why they went for their own category. I mean, I don't want to speak for them, but they were trying to create something and tailor something for them.
No, I understand we only react to what's been filed.
Well, correct. Yes.
Did that answer your question, Doug?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Don, you have any issue with precedent setting or what Jim brought up?
I really don't. I mean, I think it's their,
Jumping a sterile with
Yeah, I mean, I
Mixed
thought the
use
same thing when I saw it, but I still think there's only so many properties probably along the entire island that this kind of thing would fit to. So I don't really have a concern.
Dunlap?
On the comp plan thing, I'm completely convinced anybody wants to put themselves through this. I don't think we're setting a precedent at all.
No.
Anita, I think the words you said were perfect. This is not Neptune, so let's not talk about that again. That's how we look at everything. I truly believe we do. It isn't commingled, merged, blended. We look individually. If somebody thinks it's a precedent, bring it on, and we'll show why it's not in their particular case. And I agree with Don completely. There's one or two of these we're going to talk about the rest of our time out here. We don't have options like with Seagate to throw it on the other side.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to the FAR section of this. Rich did a good job, and Alexis, I think, did a good job explaining how they make it to 3.0 and why they end up at 3.0. I still tell you, this gives me shivers, and even though I understand,
Just because of the mass, just trying to understand the mass of what's encompassing the property.
to be honest with you, I think it is more back to that emotional thing that Mark said. I think it's more the fact that I've lived with 2.5 maximum FAR for 30 years, and now I see a 3 here.
Yeah.
And I think people have reacted to that. I think people have gone, whoa, even though they don't have a clue what it means, most of them. I think they've still reacted to why, what sets them apart? What sets this property apart to be granted that? What makes this deal so special? And I mean, I'm sure Mark could answer that question in a very lovely way, but for this community has to say what sets this apart. And maybe it is the lifestyle, the South End lifestyle, which revolved around that damn tiki bar. I mean, that's it. Maybe that's it. I still haven't, this is not settled in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like if you get it, it's going to eat the whole property, right? But there are pieces to it that are, I know we're not talking about public benefits, but the beach access, the tiki, there are restaurants that everyone's going to have access to be able to go to. I think that when you look at the whole thing, I don't want to say I don't care, but I kind of don't care if we got it right? If we think the footprint is like, if we're okay with this plan for this property, and it's probably the wrong thing to say, but I kind of don't care if it's 2.5 or 3, and that's probably the wrong attitude to have. But
No, I don't think
it
so.
seems like I think
I
people are more
understand
like it was mentioned earlier that they've got public spaces. They're going to have. I mean, it's going to be like Diamond Head, where we could go. I mean, we had meetings at Diamond Head for the LPA after and town council after. Right? There's going to be another access point after a storm potentially. There's going to be another place for folks to have. I mean, I may have a conference for my company down here or something, right? Those are public access points. And I think if you cover the property, we're covering the property. I mean, I'm looking at building a house. I'm going to cover every bit of the property that I can build it on, right? It's a 100-foot wide lot. So I'm less concerned about that because I think because we're getting a lot of things with this that we all
Context matters.
want. Yeah.
I think context matters a lot. The 3 doesn't bother me either because of what we're getting out of it. Anita, you and I have talked about it, and I've read all these minutes from the old meetings, all the consternations when we were talking about Publix in the day, because the context, competitors, et cetera. Where would we be today in so many ways had we stuck to whatever it was and didn't allow us to grow and emerge in a way? This is that chance, for my point of view on the South End, to change the entire lifestyle and amenities and culture that we have, we want, we need, and I think we deserve. And I think this is a small price to pay to get to it.
I'm gonna add one more thing. They stepped it back, right? So we were worried about it being right on and that's some of what we're concerned about, right? We say view corridors. We're not getting a view corridor, but there's going to be quite a few spaces on this property that I'm going to have access to as a resident, where I will have a view, right? And then they've stepped it back. You can walk off the street into the hotel. right? So you have, it's not just a big, wall. It's going to be tall, but it is stepped back. It's not like right here on the sidewalk. And so I feel like some of those movements or those accommodations or maybe response to feedback are have come through. And again, that's why I kind of don't care.
Can I throw something in there, Don?
Sure.
That's one reason why I was worried about making a deal with the height to just keep one building lower, because all of a sudden we're going to, you can shift stories. Well, right now we have that grade. I think it's only 2 stories or maybe 3 stories that abuts a stereo. Could all of a sudden be 5 stories.
Yeah, maybe it's still, I mean, that's it abuts a stereo, but just like the hotel, they've stepped it back, right? Maybe there's a way to do it. And again, I'm not suggesting that's where you put 5 condos or whatever, but maybe there's a way to reconfigure. I was just kind of throwing the thought out, but I appreciate it.
Well, one of the things that I'm having a problem with is because after Hurricane Ian, the town council and the LPA had a joint meeting and we discussed what is our max. And our max was 2.5. And now we're talking for one individual, 3. How do we tell the people that now it's new?
Well, it's not new. This is new.
And what do we give up if it's 2.5, right? Okay, they say, you want 2.5, we'll give you 2.5, but you're going to lose, maybe we're not a conference center. Maybe we don't have public spaces like you would like. And I think we all want them. And I think that's part of what makes a lot of the people that are supporting this project, they want this as a place to go on the south end.
My problem with this is how they calculated it and the fact that it's not 2.5, it's not 3. Under our current code, if they don't get deviation 2, it's 3.5 or 4.
Sure.
So they are taking into the account a calculation based on a deviation that has not been approved or accepted.
Yeah. And what's that look like? Do we know what 2.8 to 3.5? Any of us know what that really looks like on this
Not
site?
a clue.
No
And
clue.
that's
Right.
really hard because people have asked me, could you draw that for me?
Nope.
And the answer is no.
Right.
Yeah, the answer is no. Okay, so I hear mixed reviews on 3.0. Not very clear over here. Doug, did you weigh in?
I didn't weigh in, but I think I just look at the practical matter, kind of like Don said, a little differently. Is like, and like was mentioned, it's really the mass of the building, whether it's 3 or 2.5. It's what does the building look like? What are the amenities that go with it? And the actual number to me is not that important compared to the overall project.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Anita, just curious, how do you feel after that?
I'm tormented by
Okay,
this.
good.
Here's
That's what
why
I
I'm
was hoping for.
tormented, because I like Mark Wilson as uppity as he comes off being. He's really not. He's a decent guy, and it's the English accent, But I know I have done so much research on London Bay. It's a company you should be proud of, and I'm glad. I told you this when we met. I'm glad that London Bay is here on Fort Myers Beach. I'm glad of that, but I'm overwhelmed by this. I'm overwhelmed by the magnitude of it. And I've listened to people talk about this for the better part of a year now. And the gentleman who spoke is right. This is very divided. This isn't everybody saying no. This is half the people saying yes and half the people saying no. My problem with that was the people saying yes are all talking lifestyle. Not one of them are saying, give me a 15-story high condominium building. Not one. They're all talking about recuperating that sense of their environment here that was quite enjoyable. I know it was my environment too. I understand that.
And this will be better.
And this may be better. This may be better.
Likely.
The building pays for those
don't know,
amenities.
but I'm still suffering it. I'm suffering this. Come on. Don't ruin it, Mark. I really did I meant that. I told you that when we met, and I
felt
really
you
do
were
mean
being
it.
sincere. And last time we met, I know you were being sincere, and I apologize for being uppity.
No,
but
I don't think that. Other people do.
I do come from Birmingham, England, and not Birmingham, Alabama. So I'm afraid you're probably stuck with that. I think it's worth just stepping back and going, okay, I guess what are the alternatives, right? What else could we do? And if we did something else, would AFAR be an issue? And clearly, if we max this site out with whatever we could do with condos, it's a project that we could build, right? We could say, okay, we're doing nothing but condos. But what are we giving up? What is the South End giving up if we do a straight condo play? Now, most developers probably wouldn't go through what we're going through. They'll probably go, easy thing to do is let's put up a condo building, sell it, we're done, we're out of here, and so be it. But we don't think that's the best thing for the island. And that's, again, because we do care about Southwest Florida. We do care about the community. And the only way to do what we're doing is to do a mixed-use project. And it seems, from our standpoint, that you get penalized for doing a mixed-use project. You get to the situation that although you have residential, it now has to be included in the FAR. I understand that's the rule, and I understand that's what you're governing yourself by. But you've got an alternative to say, okay, I understand they're including residential. I understand that we're not meant to be incorporating that in it. But for all of the amenities and bringing back the lifestyle of the South End, are we going to argue that what is 2.25 if you take out the residential and is 3 if you're included is worth hammering the project? So you take out amenities and you take out the lifestyle, and we turn around and go, we've hit your 2.5. We don't think the project is as good. I don't think our residents and neighbors will think it's as good, but we hit a number because that's what the rules say that you have to do, despite the fact a really good portion of this is residential. And that's what I would ask to be considered. I understand the 3 number is ugly because we're used to 2.5. 2.25 sells a hell of a lot better and is under 2.25. And all you're doing there is saying, we understand there's a residential component. If that was all commercial, probably I'd say asking for 3 if it was all commercial, I'd probably go, I understand your objection. But I think with what we're trying to do and the thoughtful nature of how we've gone about it, I would ask that you consider that in the FAR consideration.
Thank you, Mark.
It's only one factor.
It is.
That, along with all of the other factors. But to answer your question is, if you use something like this and somebody says to you, what is FAR?
Mm-hmm.
You can say that FAR is everything that doesn't have green.
Oh, I get that, Jim, but I'm going to tell you that if I went and asked half of the people who spoke here today, can you tell me what this means and how it plays out on that piece of property across the street? I think they would have a hard time. I understand it.
No, but
I get it.
I'm
But you want me to walk around with this in my purse?
right.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, you can explain it then.
I'll do it. I'll do it. Okay. Okay. So let's, Jason, can I just ask you, do you think that's a fair comment?
Which
that Mark
one?
just one of them. I'm going to, being penalized for having both residential and commercial there, that if we only looked at the commercial element, it's 2.25, but having to add the residential, which has no FAR, if it was standalone, takes it up to 3. And do you think that's a glitch in our plan?
No, how do I say this without getting fired? You're asking the wrong guy. Okay. So as a planner, FAR is a tool. It's a measurement tool. It's a component. It talks about building mass, right? It doesn't talk about design. We've already talked about good design. I do agree with that. Overcome certain things. I think there's other things we're about to talk about in this and in the other applications that are trade-offs for that. I'm more of a straight, transparent, what is the size of the building to the lot and what is the FAR? From the very beginning, 3-4 years ago with the comp plan, we were the ones advising increase your FAR to give you the
I
flexibility
remember.
for good projects. And everybody said no. And I get why, because it's scary. Again, this goes back to why it's site specific, right? So it's them that's asking for it, not across the island. So FAR doesn't bother me unless it's terrible, right? So it's I agree with that there's trade-offs to that. And you've got more coming as far as mixture of uses. You know, I've heard condos versus hotel. There's other things that we have to talk about that I think condominium. Hotel slash condominium, the term, right?
Yes.
So the gentleman talked about the 49,
Yes.
whatever, condos. I'm assuming that's a big part of the financial part of it, but the 150 to me, I'm a little unsure of because it says hotel condominiums. Does that mean this could be 198 condominiums? So I think there needs clarity on that mixture of what that 150 number is.
What defines I mean, because there's condotels, right? Like
Yeah.
Golding is they're condominiums, but they're daily rentals, right? So it's a really like run like a hotel. It's just a big hotel room, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're running into that where ownership terminology is mixing with zoning terminology, mixing with building code, right? All these things are kind of.
Why do we care? Because somebody brings more traffic, or what? Why do we care?
Well, from a straight residential perspective, I think you care because you're a barrier island, right? We got to be careful how many more additional permanent or more traffic and year-round type residents you introduce. Whereas transient lodging is more of a commercial. There's sales tax. There's other benefits to the community. And I think I heard that was a benefit supposedly to the community. So my only point is if you're going to weigh those things, then lean into the hotel part of it.
Right. I was going to say, so does the hotel then, is the hotel what concerns us? Because that's
Not,
transient.
I mean, the terminology of hotel condominium. I don't care what, you just don't want it to become another multifamily building, right? You don't want to lose the hotel part. And right now there's a slash in there that makes you wonder if that's an or. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So if it all of a sudden becomes 198 condos that are just residential units, you've lost the commercial mixed nature of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think.
You've lost the sales tax. You've lost the other.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that's why the commercial, the mixed use makes sense and it's better for the town.
So I think
right?
just clarification of that intent. helps you as far as it doesn't become all a residential project.
Right.
Can I ask for a clarification to help with the, respond to that comment? This is the lawyer talking now.
Yeah, sure.
My understanding is a hotel can either be owned by one entity and own all the units, or it could still be a hotel and I could sell all 150 of the units to individuals that agree to a management, centralized management or something like that. The reason we wanted to do that is because we wanted the ability for those 50 units to be individually owned, to be part of a rental pool. So if you guys tell me it doesn't, you don't need that word condominium for those units, and I could just say 150 hotel rooms,
right,
and they can be sold in a condominium form, still operated as transient, I don't have an issue. So I'm asking you under your code, that's why I want to make, we were led to the impression that we needed that word in there, still going to be a transient use, which is a form of how that unit was going to be owned. So that's to explain to you, Mr. Smith, why we put that word in there. It's not to make it a condominium, not to make it a multifamily unit.
And I think he hit on a key word there because elsewhere in the comp plan, it talks about transient uses.
Right.
And that's probably a better term. And I don't care about the ownership part of it, right? That's a different financial form and stuff than we look into. So
But some jurisdictions do care. And
Right.
That's why we wanted to make sure we could still do that.
Sure, I understand.
You may not up here, but.
No.
If you tell us.
There's a 30-minute conversation about that I won't get into, but transient is, I think, what I hear from a town perspective is a goal and a key part of this. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that wording is just the only thing that makes me, I don't want to be 2 years from now arguing over whether they meant all condos and all residential or
So
not.
can we cut to the chase? Do we just eliminate the hotel condominium verbiage and put 150 hotel rooms?
I think it was transient, whatever the other term is that we use. As a
I got to ask one more question real quick. Why do we, what if the 50 or the 46 condominiums are individually sold, but they're rented on a weekly basis? Do we care? As long as they pay bed tax, right? Or
Yeah,
I guess-
but you're allowing them to be year round if they wanted to, right? So there's a
Right.
residential. Okay, so then the question is, do you want 198 residential units?
You would know, I'm actually saying the
Or do
opposite.
you want a
I'm
hotel?
saying
Well, there goes the
190
FAR.
196
That's my
effective
point.
daily rentals, right? Or weekly rentals or whatever it is. To me, that the town it would benefit from that, from sales tax and from,
We clearly want the 46 multifamily units.
Correct.
Okay, we want those. We don't want you to say you can't have. 40.
no,
we don't want to say
and
that.
I'm
We're
not,
not saying that
and I'm
at
not
all.
saying
I just
that.
want to make sure we're
Yeah.
not talking about that.
No, I'm just
You may
trying.
not care if they're rented out, but
What I'm trying to get to is what the town actually is looking for. with
I'm
the
offering
definition.
if you want a hotel on this
Yes.
property, make sure we
Yes.
call it something that it
hotel.
has to be a hotel. I don't
Which-
care about the ownership part of
Right.
it, but that it's transient and available for
I-
daily, weekly, whatever.
Right,
use.
but
I think we should need to use the word hotel. That's in your code.
Period.
150, is that right?
150 hotel.
Let me just tell you all something really important, more important than anything you're going to tell us. Doug Ekman has to leave at 3:00. So if we could be expeditious in our conversation here, I'd like to get through this element so Mr. Ekman can vote on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
Let me be very expeditious. So the reason that we put in condo hotel as well as hotel is that we believe the market feedback that we're getting is that there is a use from families of having 1, 2, 3 bed accommodation. As we went down and spoke to Margaritaville at length, their issue is they didn't do enough suites. We know that we needed that to bring families, transient
Sure.
families, to the island. And I don't want us to say that it's a hotel and then anybody be surprised whatsoever. As part of that hotel, there's 3-bedroom condos that are part of the hotel that are going to be.
Well, can't there be a 3-bedroom hotel unit?
Yeah, well, yes, as long as, most people don't think about a hotel having 3-bedroom hotels.
Suites.
Rooms, right?
Yeah,
Or
there's suites.
Suites.
Right, and they've got a
Yeah.
living room and they've got an efficiency kitchen and they've got
Right.
3 bedrooms. That's not what, and all I want to be is absolutely clear that if we change this language, our intent is still the same. We're just changing the language to try and clarify.
Does
Yes?
anybody have any upsetness over that?
Nope.
I think it's clear to say it's a hotel, and if it's a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom hotel unit, I mean, I've been in them before.
Okay.
I
And
prefer
somebody
the
could
space.
individually own
I
it
would
or,
like a little clarification on what the
Yeah,
difference.
no objection.
We'll delete the word.
Okay, I would like a
We'll delete that
little
word.
clarification on what the difference, in your opinion, is between the hotel and the condo residences. How are they going to be different?
Very, very simply, the condo residences will be for sale. They're not slightly larger.
And
they're
they own the
and they'll
hotel.
be, I don't expect anybody with the price that they're likely to be to want them to go into a rental pool.
Okay, that was my question. So,
You have unified management for both of them?
No, I think we'll have a master association. We're getting down in the weeds here. We'll end up with a master association. The condo will have its own association. The condo will want to manage their building that's separate to the management of the hotel and the condos. So it'll be a master association because you've got shared podium, shared pools, and shared other things, but it won't be one association. It'll be a series of associations.
But maybe I should have been clear. Rental management will be unified or will be separate for the two structures?
Yes, Jim, that's our intent.
So could I summarize what I think you've come to here with density? It would state the proposed development is for 150 hotel rooms and 46 multifamily units, period. The permitted density is 41 dwelling units per acre, subject to the hotel equivalency factor established for the pedestrian commercial future land use map, land use category, and the Town of Fort Myers Beach Land Development Code, blah, 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 and inclusive of hotel and multifamily units. And I'm eliminating everything else there.
can we say hotel units instead of hotel rooms? Because that way it wouldn't matter and maybe that would make them.
Hotel.
Because it could be it could be a single room. It
Yes.
could be.
So it could say
three bedroom.
hotel
Yeah.
and multifamily units.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. Development standards, the site design and development standards for the Outrigger Resort Mixed Use District will comply with those standards adopted by the Planned Development Zoning District. Okay. So where we are with all of this at this moment is we've eliminated under permitted uses, we've eliminated this discussion about public benefits. Under heights and stories, we have put a maximum building height of 158 feet. Under intensity,
and we
we've
don't discuss, we're cutting out the stories part? Whatever fits under 158 feet?
We did not concede to the 158.
I
We
know,
understand.
I'm talking about what the LPA's agreed to.
Oh, right.
I did, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just trying to clarify if that's where we are. Does anybody disagree with that? If that's where we are?
So are we taking out the number of stories when we say maximum?
No,
No?
Well,
if they wanted to do eight foot, they won't. But if they wanted to do 8 foot ceilings, they could. Yeah.
stories or 7 foot, okay.
I'm
Currently,
sorry.
they're 13 a story, I think. So.
So are you
So-
telling me, Rich, that you object completely to the 158? You don't want that there?
We prefer to leave the 177.
Well, I know you do, but,
And then we could address it. I'm assuming we're not getting to the CPD today.
oh, I wouldn't be
Oh,
so
yeah, we
sure.
can.
Well, we're losing Mr. Ekman.
That doesn't make us not.
That doesn't
There's also
stop
formulas.
us.
We loved Doug, but he can go.
But I do have a question. This kind of goes back to Don. The 158, is that kind of, that's just because that's what you saw for the other?
That's the highest
That's
one
the
on the
highest
south
one.
end. That's what I just picked that because it's the highest one.
'Cause I
on the-
think
and
we
they
oughta-
happen to be their other building is 158, I believe. The other highest building is
Yeah.
158.
Well, I think 177 is the right number, but
I was thinking we ought to think in terms of stories because what you're kind of asking them is to take 2 stories off the highest building.
Well,
Yes.
if we give them
I'm
a height,
actually
then they
not.
can put however many stories.
I'm
they
actually
want.
not. They could do I'm not saying they want to do this and I'm not saying it would look right, but they could do a flat roof and they'd probably they might pick up 17 feet. I don't know. If that pitch is 17 feet, they might get a floor out of that and make that building's got a whole different look at the top. I don't know.
but in that context, what did you accomplish other than aesthetics?
I'm trying to find a happy place where everybody feels comfortable. And
You
I
think
think
somebody
a
looking
lot of
up, if
people,
they can't see the pitch roof anyway, is going to know if
I
it's
think,
flatter?
I think if you're in a house next door or you're in the building next door or those homes, those residential, that we're changing this from a 2 or 3 story motel, which was there before, to now a
I get that.
15 stories. If you're in one of those homes there or that area, I think you have a concern with that. So I'm just trying to find something that's maybe a happy place in between. That's all.
I don't think it's enough for happy.
Okay. It may not be.
Well,
May I ask a question? Because I'm not quite sure now where we're at, is asking for 158, which in effect, we're not going to change the height of floor to floor heights of units because I can't sell them. And, you know, one of the things that I've spoken about is we don't want to make compromises that doesn't get a project started. And I'm unsure that if we lop off 2 stories and I lose those 8 condominium units, which is the highest value condo units that there is because they're on the highest floor, where do I make up the difference? Are you saying, because we're now limiting ourselves to 150 hotel units, where do I make the move? And again, I would agree with the comment, and I know it's self-serving. Is anybody going to know the difference between 158 and 177?
I mean, I think it
allows
may.
us to do an economic building that gets started, Don. Does it really matter?
I guess does a no or a yes matter? Because maybe
Yeah,
you
of
get a no
course,
if it's
of course
not,
it
right?
does, yes,
So
yes.
so that's where I'm looking for. I like the project. I like a lot about it. I'm trying to find, you know, that's what I sit up here and do, is represent the people of the town. So, and I would argue you still have 2 top floors, so you're still gonna be able to sell those 2 top floors.
Do I understand that 158, that allows us flexibility in the other buildings to make it up? Is that
Sure.
what
It
you're
has
saying?
to.
Is that
Yeah, it
what
has
you're
to.
saying?
You could
It has to.
Yes.
We're not
I've
we're
got
not cutting the
158
units.
feet all the way across the project.
You're
Yes.
not going to do that because you're a class act and your
I
project
won't, I won't
is
do
you.
that, but I just want to understand if I agree to it. Am I agreeing that it's 158 feet? That's what the comp plan says.
You know what, Mark? And ultimately, we're not the final decision
I know,
makers,
yes.
but Rebecca Link
Yeah.
and John McLean are
Yes,
here and
and-
they're listening to everything we're saying.
Absolutely.
Very attentively, I might add.
I have noticed.
So far,
yes.
they have not been disruptive. So I think that we can make this change and we can pass it or not pass it. Or you could tell us, because you brought this to us, we don't accept that modification, in which case we leave it at your 190, whatever, which I scribbled through, 195, and we leave it at that, and then it goes to them. But
I think
maybe-
technically the
maybe-
language is 177
It
in
is.
here, but
Okay,
that's what it would
177.
be.
Okay,
but yeah.
so what, maybe that stays. And then maybe it's a no from us or it's a yes from us, but it goes on to them. That's your decision.
I understand that. So just clarification. If we say 158, you're giving us the flexibility to move other buildings up to compensate for what we're bringing the residential down.
To 158.
Well, Mark, we haven't gotten to the CPD
No,
yet.
no, agreed. But
But
clearly we're going to-
theoretically,
In my mind-
theoretically,
In my mind, I think yes. I mean, and I'm the one that proposed 158, so I would say in my mind, yes.
Okay. So I think if that's the case, and that's what we're agreeing to, I will reluctantly agree to that. Yes.
Boy, we built a box.
We haven't had a discussion about density.
we did. What else would you like to discuss? What would you like to discuss about density?
Well, under 144 rooms by right, along with 10,000 square feet was, a density of 37 dwelling units per acre. Going to 196 rooms with 46,000 square feet of commercial space increases it to 41. And does anyone have a problem with density? And just, I'll throw this out for comparison, I think Seagate was 15. So this is a much denser
It is
development.
much denser. That is true. It's much denser.
So can I chime in on that real quick since we're short? Density is essentially a component of residential. So since you're limiting by the language to 49, it's technically 13.8 dwelling units per acre. The hotel doesn't count in that calculation of those units.
Can you say that
The
again?
hotel rooms
They
don't
don't
count
count, right.
towards the density calculation. We just have a weird thing where we use density and a multiplier to
So it'd be
count hotel rooms.
13.8?
Yeah, if you take 49 and divide it by
Yeah, and what was
3.55.
Outrigger?
I'm sorry, 46. Sorry, I keep saying that. Outrigger was 144 hotel rooms.
Right.
There,
So the hotel rooms didn't count.
no, the comp plan in that table you saw is doing a weird conversion of what hotel rooms per acre with a multiple. It's, I don't want to get into that. So
Yeah.
you're clearly spelling out 150 hotel rooms in the 46 apartments or multifamily, excuse me, condos. I don't think you even need the density calculation in there. You spelled out your numbers.
I agree.
Okay.
I'm not saying Jim agrees, but I agree.
Correct.
It's 2:59
What's 259, Jane?
today, right now.
I have a clock
I
here.
know.
Thank you, though. Okay. Doug, is it going to, I hate to rush this. Is it going to bother you if we don't vote in your, or do,
No, not at all. I think there's been a lot of good discussion, and
do you have
I
any
respect my
parting-
colleagues' opinions. And
Do you have any parting thoughts?
my only thought is the 158 number seems slightly arbitrary, but what it amounts to is taking off 2 stories and making it 11 stories above parking instead of 13. Which, if that's acceptable to the developer, I think that would be. I think the height is the sticking point. I mean, the negatives of the project that is like 50-50. I got like half the emails we got were all for it, and half were dead set against it. But the people that were dead set, it seemed like the height was the real stumbling block, which it has been on like Seagate too.
Mhm.
So that's my thought was if a compromise on height, if that could work without disrupting the architecture, because it's a nice layout and
It is.
I don't want to compromise their design.
Mhm. Mhm.
But that's my thoughts.
It's 19 feet. It's 19 feet.
Mhm. It's 19 feet.
19 feet.
It's 2 or 3 people.
Yeah,
on it.
I mean, it's 19 feet, and I mean, the first floor is 21 feet. Does the first floor have to be 21 feet? Maybe not. Maybe it could be 19. You pick up 2 feet there. I don't know. So
You're the engineer. I'm listening.
Right.
Okay. So
Anyway, thank you.
To Don's point, that would also be the bookend because Point Estero happens to be 150.
Yeah.
yes, that's why.
That's where he got it.
it seemed arbitrary, but that's exactly what I did.
That's where he got it.
Well, and their other
building.
buildings are 158.
So,
Because of that.
but 158 is the other
Yeah.
tower, the second
Yeah.
tower.
Their other
Yeah.
towers,
Yeah.
158, yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be-
And again, with some architectural changes, they might be able to make them look different. And they're not sitting next to each other, so they'll probably look different heights anyway.
Okay, so Doug, I'm just going to let the record reflect that Doug is departing. And I am just going to ask Jason, do you feel that the density section of this comp plan amendment is clear and adequate?
Yeah, so I confer with the applicant's attorney and that sentence, the permitted density, 39.5 units, subject to, God, do I need reading glasses? Hotel equivalency factor established for the blah, 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 right? That whole sentence is unnecessary.
Wait, go back.
That sentence under density, starting at the permitted density is,
Yes,
that entire sentence is unnecessary because
unnecessary.
you're defining the units.
correct,
We're not using this to do math later on. We've done the math.
correct.
I hate to throw one more wrench in here, but may I? In fairness, we're going to lose 2 floors. Mark just told you that was 8 units, right? 8 units. He'd like the option to have those 8 units become hotel units so that, and where'd you go? Sorry. And I don't think that's an unfair request because he may not be able to put those 8 condo units in the hotel building, but he wants to recover the economic loss of those 8 units. So trading them for hotel rooms, I don't think is an unreasonable request.
So he gets 196 total, or he's asking for 204?
Really, I'm asking for similar square footage that gets converted to hotel units. And I
So that'd
can't
be
tell
more
you
units.
what that is off the top of my head, right?
In the other building.
Yes, yes.
So it just raises it, which is,
No?
No,
There it goes.
he's saying that the square footage would be broke down into more hotel rooms.
Right.
What about having your penthouse, 2-story penthouse on top of wherever you're going to put it and have a direct keyed thing.
Lovely idea. I don't think I have a chance of selling them.
Well,
Yeah.
not only that, but we're getting way
Yeah.
too particular here. That you want to lay out the parameters. Here's the parameter.
So whatever he can fit in the 158.
No,
But
it's
no, you're not allowing him
196.
to have more units.
It's 196 units. If you were losing 8, you'd technically go to 188, right? But we're saying it's 196 units still. We're not cutting the units.
But you're agreeing that if we cut back 8 residential units, that can be a trade to larger hotel units.
Well, that's not what this says.
No.
That's what we're asking.
He's just asking for that.
Because I think that's what Don was saying. Look, you can take the height down, but you can increase the height elsewhere. Well, there's no point in increasing the height if I can't make the economic value.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, on the 3-story building, if he said, hey, I want to put, 10 units on do one more floor on top of that, and there's 10 hotel units that are there. I mean, it's still the same square footage that we've agreed
Or
to.
the hotel building itself.
Right, or in the hotel building, right?
So basically, as I understand your code, one residential unit equals 3, depending on the size of the unit, hotel rooms. So if he gives up, by way of the math, he gives up 8, you would now have 8, you'd have 38 condo units, and you'd add 24, so you would have 174 hotel rooms.
And if those are the numbers you want, they need to be memorialized here.
And that's I mean, clearly, Anita, that's an ask, right? If we're taking it out of the one building, and yes, you can add it back to the other building. Is it
Listen,
reasonable for the
my preference is for the hotel rooms. I think that's what Fort Myers Beach needs. We
So
don't
that's
need
and that's what he's saying,
So,
and
yes.
24.
I think it's fine.
24.
So we have an additional 24 hotel.
Exactly.
Because he might put 2 more floors on top of that 3-story building, is
And
what he's
that's the
saying.
consequence.
Right.
Do you have the parking for that?
So I think it is in the event that we're going to come down 2 floors. If in the event that gets rid of 8 condo units, we have the flexibility to add that back to hotel units.
I have a
We
suggestion.
need to
for
go
you.
and obviously we need to go and study this architecture.
Within the same,
But
you're
I'm
saying
fine.
within the same footprint though, right?
Yes, the same
Ins-
footprint. It just changes.
How about instead of memorializing that here today, we leave it as it is, and you take that proposal to the town council, because they still can change everything we've said. They could say, "Well, that LPA is crazy."
They can, but I think if we had a relatively heavily supported, I
Could we
think,
just say either or? You can take the residential units and put them wherever you want, or you can change it to 24
That'd be
hotel
fine,
rooms.
Jay.
That-
Do we care if as long
I don't
as it's
care.
capped at 196?
I don't.
You
No,
can make
it won't
any
be
combination.
It won't be,
you want.
won't be 196.
Because
Three-
of
three
the
for one.
equivalency factor,
It would be-
3 to 1
it would be
for the
more,
condo.
24
because
is
he'll-
more.
So we're still talking.
Can
Okay,
we just,
talking about
I appreciate the
196
equivalency factor,
No,
but
more.
it can be whatever number you want, right?
What's the
So
number?
It would be
it can be
24
any
more.
number you want.
it can be any number you want.
And I think what we don't want to do is go back to, it could be 196 residential,
Right.
right? So
Yes.
that's the trade-off you're trying
I
to
haven't
do.
heard, is anybody here worried about 24 more hotel rooms?
No.
I'm not.
Neither am I. So
No.
So all we're asking is we can convert residential units, the multifamily units at 3 to 1. Just put that provision in there. We go to 3 to 1, up to 8 residential units.
we're going to say 24 and you do the math. How'd that work for you? Because that's the same math.
It is, but if we only do, just say he only gives up 4 units, you don't want to give me 24 for 4, do you?
No.
I'll take
No.
24.
Right.
But Rich, the problem is it's written here. So what's your number?
Well, what I'm suggesting is we add a phrase. You asked us to bring the height down. Okay.
Oh,
we're coming down.
you
What's
want
it?
you want a phrase that includes flexibility.
Right.
We're going to take a 10-minute break, and you and Jason decide that.
Yep.
Okay, 10-minute break.
Jason was like.
I felt
respectfully to make decisions on the fly, which is certainly your prerogative, and we totally get that. But I think also we want to make sure that we have the opportunity to think about this and look at it, and how does it affect the site plan? How do we make up these differences in the units? And just making sure that we all agree the language that we're talking about is good, right? Because the language of the agreement matters. So I think we would like to suggest that we have a continuance today. I'd like to make sure that when we come back, I want to be able to make the council meetings in May and June. And obviously that puts us under some pressure in order to do that. But I think that's probably the best way. And I'd like to make sure that all of you are able to be present. I think it's really important. And certainly your opinion matters. And I think also we obviously want to make sure that we're getting a majority vote. And if one's missing, it becomes very difficult in case there's a split. So that's our request.
Is anybody opposed to a continuance at this point?
Not at all.
And nor am I.
We want to get it right.
We want to get it right, exactly. So could I just?
Madam Chair, that would be a continuance of
To a-
all items that are on today's
correct.
agenda related to London Bay.
That's correct.
And we
Yeah.
would have to open the public hearing and do a date certain for each one.
Okay, I'll be happy to do that if we can come up with a date. So, Rich, were you going to?
Wait, just waiting for the date.
Okay, so members of the LPA, could you open up your calendars and tell me, next week is out because our two friends at the end of the dais here will be out of town. But the following week, 27, 28, 29, 30, Jason is looking tired, just at both Jasons are at the thought of this. But does anybody have any day that's better than others? Is it possible? How about for you, Dunlap? Open all 4 days?
Yes, ma'am.
Don,
28th is the only day.
is the only day you're available. Okay, so now we're down to only the 28th. Jane, any objections to the 28th?
Unfortunately, Rich is in county commission hearings in Collier County.
On the 28th?
The 28th is with all the commissioners, and the 29th is the meeting. So that's
27th to 28th, I'm out that week.
Okay.
So I have conflicts as well. I'm available the 30th and the 1st.
what about, I know. John,
I'm
you
not.
said the 21st. What about the 20th, the day before you've set?
I think that they are out are you all out all week?
Yeah, I'll be
20th
out,
council presentation, council meeting.
That's right. There's.
but
the
I'll
town
be
council.
out starting the
They will
morning of the
only be
19th.
half a day probably. Council meeting won't go all day. Knock on wood.
But you're out, Don? But can you Zoom on any of those days?
Nope,
Ah.
sorry.
Moon mission.
Well, how about you guys? Are you more flexible?
Any day you want, Chairman.
Now that's the way everybody should reply. I just want you all to take an example. Okay.
May 12th, I have an LPA meeting.
How about you, Ed? Are you in town? Do you have any schedule conflicts? Because now
I do, until we get into May, actually, unless it was the 29th. And I know, we already know that won't work.
okay. So now let's
The
ask a
first,
broader.
the first I would be fine too.
You're fine on the first, but Amy told me that everything has to be wrapped up by the first to not interrupt the council schedule. Is that accurate? Is wrapped up the first, is the
First by 5
is the
p.m.?
first an option?
It's for me.
Don? No. Well, when
Different
the hell are
trip.
you available?
I'm available this week.
You're
I was available today, all day.
So, gentlemen, that's an interesting proposition there.
Tomorrow is Wednesday.
So tomorrow is Wednesday. What about Friday? What about this Friday, the 17th?
Yeah, I guess I would ask, are you guys, would 3 days get you ready?
I think
It's better than on the fly.
Yeah, Friday works.
Friday?
Can we?
30 people.
Doesn't for me.
Amy,
Doesn't for me.
Amy, could you call Doug and see if
It doesn't
he's
work
open on
for
Friday?
Dunlap, he says.
It doesn't work for Dunlap?
Nope.
Are you kidding me?
No, it doesn't work for me either.
And it doesn't work for me.
Nancy.
All right.
What about the 16th? What
What's
about
the 16th? 16th of what? Oh, Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't work for Nancy.
Got to go to May
I have a 5 o'clock.
if you want full.
Okay, let's take a moment here. The goal is not to interrupt the council's schedule. So currently, had we breezed through this today, you would have gone to the council at the second meeting. Is that right?
It was May 18th. It was the original plan.
The original plan was the 18th, so they would have gone in on the 18th and again on
Second reading in June.
the 1st of June,
Nope, second meeting in June.
the second meeting of June the 15th.
Right. Generally, just remember your
Yep.
first reading, second meeting we're preparing final ordinances and documents. That's a lot of work.
Can we go to the council on June 1st and June 18th?
And skip us?
No, not in skip.
Assuming we go to your May 12th regular meeting.
Or some other day in May. Could they go to June 1st and June 15th?
That's my concern, is that spacing is, the agenda items are due that same week. They're already due, I should say, for the second meeting in June. And it's a lot to prepare accurately.
So is that answer no?
I mean, I'm going to do whatever they tell me to do, but
So the other,
I don't know how.
can I add something too? So Amy and I have just looked at the 21st. We have 3 variances right now that are scheduled there. We could, if it's a date that might be available to everyone.
It's not though.
They're not.
The
and they
21st, okay.
They wanted to full.
The other consideration I would put on the table, and Jason, like you said, you'd like to keep your job. I'd like to keep my job too, but town council could have a special meeting
There
on
you go.
London Bay because as you've seen, today's meeting has gone very lengthy because of the policy considerations, which could still possibly accommodate, the scheduling.
Right. And
before
so in
June.
that case, I think if that means bump to May, bump to June first reading, if they had a special meeting in late June, that could still accommodate that and just give us time to prepare. But that's up to council, obviously. So
Amy, could you get Doug on the phone and let's see if we can figure out a day in May? Because if that's possible, hey, John,
might.
Rebecca, do you think you all would object to a special meeting?
Can you pass her?
We took a break and we came to this and we have to continue this to a date certain. That's why we're having a public conversation about this.
Let you know that I'm available pretty much.
The entire month of June. That's what it's going to take, John.
He's an accommodating guy.
I'm available the month of June.
Great. Rebecca, are you leaving town?
It's one
in
vote.
June? An M&P meeting. There you go. Okay, so there's flexibility there, Amy, do you think?
Go to May.
Excellent.
So we go to May 12th?
So let's go to the earliest date possible in May. Do we have Doug on the phone? Nancy?
I was looking for it.
May
too, and I don't
1
have
does not work. May 1 does not work.
It does not
right?
work. I
Does
will
not work.
May
be
1
here.
does not work.
Okay, so can the folks with conflicts tell me what day works?
May, are we saying before May 12th? Because May
Yes.
12th is an LPA.
So the afternoon of the 4th,
Council meeting that
nope.
day,
but
right?
it would be the afternoon.
4th, 5th, I would be available the 6th, 7th. Hang on. Actually, the 6th I'll be on a plane. 7th and 8th.
Okay, so May 7th or 8th.
Yep.
Dunlap?
I have a haircut, but I could move it.
How
He needs a haircut.
does the 8th work for you? Because
Yeah.
we've got a conflict on our side.
I'm on a
May
plane on the
86th.
6th.
We're looking at May 8th right now. Anything from you guys? Everybody's good on 8? Is Doug good on 8?
Because he's on his way to.
Anything we can threaten him with to clear up his calendar?
I've got something.
All right.
Okay, all right. Are you
I'll-
okay on the 8th?
Yeah.
Okay,
As far as I know.
so
Are you gonna-
May 8th?
It's my birthday that day.
Oh,
So
okay.
perfect.
We'll all
You're gonna be nice
celebrate.
You get no
Come
No.
looking for a present.
No.
Okay, so we would continue this to a date certain of May 8th
Date and
at
time.
9 a.m.
Oh, we got to do 9 a.m.
I have got such a headache. Oof.
Gives you a lot of time, Jason.
Still enough time.
Jeez.
No problem.
So what would you, just so I can just figure out what just happened in my world. When would we go to the,
Council,
City
same dates,
Council.
same dates.
Your dates, no,
Same
No.
you would likely go to council June 1st and
And
June 15th, or they would create a special date for you.
they would have to create a special date.
So Rebecca said MMP or something like
But
that's a great idea.
The queen of the schedule is right at the end of the dais here. Amy holds the keys to the schedule. She looks like she's, like not dangerous at all, but believe me, she is.
You could be on the June 1st agenda and then they'd have to create a special meeting.
So-
If we think we can get a special meeting, that would get us done.
That's,
No way to know that.
yeah, that's not for me to just say, what's that?
No, but Mark is saying that they are unavailable on June 1st.
Yeah.
So,
So you guys couldn't come up with verbiage on the fly to fit in to make
No.
it work?
and you know what? This is not an on-the-fly gig. It just isn't. So,
Yeah.
When it's just the ripple effect, you're not gonna have the PD master plan in front of you
so
today.
We
let's,
need to build a wave wall around this thing.
Yeah, wait.
you know what? I am, who decides the council's agenda? Is it you,
Council.
Amy, or is it the mayor?
You meet the mayor. Well,
Council,
council.
council as a
So
whole.
just give me 1 second. Highly irregular.
Well, and don't. Oh, yes.
No, the whole council, you need the council as a
I know
whole.
we need the whole council, but I'm just gonna,
See what the mayor says.
see.
Should we go on a break?
Yeah, let's take a 5 minute. No. Everybody knows I'm calling him right this second, and he's not answering his phone.
Watching.
Yeah, because he's.
Oh, you are answering. Okay, Dan, you're live on this meeting. So we're trying to continue this LPA meeting and not screw up the council's agenda, but they're likely going to need a special meeting in June. And I'm trying to assure them of that special meeting. You have 2 other council members who are here whose months are wide open. And well, they're not going to vote on it. And so
It's a consensus.
I'm just affirming with you that there's flexibility in that June schedule. No. Dan wants to be assured that this isn't a sunshine conflict about the schedule.
Sunshine basically says that
Nancy just took a deep breath.
2 or more council members will not discuss a matter that is foreseeable to come before them.
Do you consider scheduling a matter?
If there is going to be a vote by the town council, however, there is no sunshine issue between you and the mayor since you
That's
serve
correct.
on
There's
separate
no
boards.
sunshine issue between you and me. You know what? I'm going to hang up my phone. We're going to do what we're going to do, and you guys are going to have to pick up the pieces, okay? Bye-bye. Okay, so I basically said we're going to do what we do, and then the council will have to decide what, your job will be with the council. So Mark, are you going to continue this meeting until May 8th, date specific at 9 a.m.?
Good at mine, May. We're good. You won't be. Yeah. Yeah, you're going to
condition
give
of
Rich
what?
a really
Oh.
nice birthday present that day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, May 8th. We'll ask for a continuance until May 8th. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Okay.
Okay, I
yes,
make
I
a
know.
motion that we continue ordinance 2604 CPA 2024-0067, 6200 F0 Boulevard Outrigger Mixed Resort Mixed Use CPA text until May 8th at 9:00.
Second.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second to continue this meeting to May 8th. We're going to have to go through each of the elements in this agenda to do this all over again, so stay tuned. And
Jason,
there's a
what's he saying?
motion and a second.
Are you,
Jason,
are you continuing each item individually?
we're going to
Okay.
continue each item individually, yes,
Thank you.
because they're all public hearings. Okay, so this doesn't have to be a roll call vote, though. So all in favor of the continuance to May 8th?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so with this hearing continues. Now,
I'll make a motion to
wait, no,
continue.
because we have to open the public hearings because they're
Oh,
advertised.
that's
So hold
right.
on 1 minute. Hold on 1 minute. Nancy, I'd just like to go on the record that I did not reflect anything that Dan said, so there's no sunshine thing. Okay? Are you
There was
comfortable with
no
that?
decision made.
And there was no
There was
decision
no
made, correct.
interaction.
No
so
interaction.
It's fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to read the ordinance for letter B. And all we're going to do is open the public hearing, is that right? And let people speak if they wish to. Nancy, is that correct?
Yes.
And then we're going to continue them. Okay, so the next section, if this were a regularly scheduled advertisement, is ordinance 2603 CPA 202 40067 6200 Estero Boulevard, the Outrigger Mixed Resort Use CPA map amendment. An ordinance of the town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, amending town of Fort Myers Beach future land use map 2045, adopted December 1st, 2025, for the portion of the property located at 6200 Estero Boulevard, identified as strap number 334624W30001200000. That is landward of the 1978 Coastal Construction Control Line in Fort Myers Beach, providing for clarifications as necessary, providing for conflicts of law, scrivener's errors, severability, and providing for an effective date. And I'm opening this public hearing. This is also legislative in nature. We're not going to accept any testimonies here because we're going to continue this, but there is public comment. So if any of you have something you'd like to say, you're welcome to. And hearing none, we'll close. Are we getting up, Terry? Okay, come on. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Terry Kane. Regarding maps, I happen to like maps. I used maps for a long time in my other life. And that's my concern, was the map that you saw earlier today and where the property lines were. And then I was told, well, the wet sand or the high tide mark, which is when they do surveys. And as you all well know, every single property on Fort Myers Beach that's on the Gulf front has a different property line. Some of them are up higher, some of them are lower. Some of them do go to the wet sand, not a whole lot of them. Some of the very old ones go to the wet sand. So I am concerned in regard to changing the map into what the request was as far as the lines that are on the map that was presented, that it goes down to the wet sand. It wasn't into the high tide zone. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Anybody else have something they'd like to say here? Okay, we'll close the public comment. May I have a motion, please, to continue this hearing to a date certain of May 8th, 9 a.m.
So moved.
Thank you, Jim.
Second.
Thank you, Jane. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objection? None. Motion carries unanimously. This item is continued to May 8th at 9 a.m. Next item, ordinance 2605. This is the CPD. CPD 202-40061, 202-40061, 6200 Estero Boulevard, the Outrigger Resort Mixed Use. This is an ordinance of the town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, approving with conditions, denying the rezoning of the property located at 6200 Estero Boulevard, Fort Myers Beach, generally identified as strap number 334624W3 000120000 from a previously approved commercial plan development, Outrigger Beach Resort, to a planned commercial plan development with 12 deviations to allow for a 46 dwelling units, 150 hotel rooms, and 46,000 square feet of commercial use, and 340 parking spaces, providing for other clarifications as necessary, providing for conflicts of law, Scribner's errors, severability, and providing for an effective date. And now, Nancy, do we need to state our ex parte at this point, or do we save that?
No, we're not going to go into the quasi judicial component at this point.
Okay.
I have a question
You can
also.
preserve that testimony for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need to correct the verbiage of the hotel rooms?
No,
or
because
whatever?
we haven't changed anything yet.
This is
We
just a
can't, it would be
continuance
another
of the
hearing.
hearing.
Exactly.
We'd have to post it.
Okay,
again.
Exactly.
Date certain.
Okay, so I'm going to open the public hearing. Does anybody wish to comment on this? Yes, sir.
Only because I haven't been at these meetings before and understand the process.
Can you state
Since
your
we're
name for the
continuing
record,
Yes,
please?
please. Can you state your name?
David O'Brien.
Thank you, David.
Is this the only opportunity for public comment on the rest of these agenda items, or with the continuance, do we have that option at the next meeting?
Yes, you'll have all the same options as
Okay.
you have today.
Then I have no comment.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll close the public comment. May I have a motion, please, to
So moved.
continue this hearing to a
No.
date specific of May 8th at 9 a.m.?
Second, so your name gets in the minutes.
Second.
Okay, so the motion is made by Jane and seconded by Ed Schoonover. Any discussion on the motion? Any objection to the motion? The motion carries unanimously. The next item is the special exception for SEZ 202-40112 6200 Estero Boulevard, Outrigger Resort Mixed Use Special Exception. This is a special exception for construction in the environmentally critical zone. A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, approving with conditions, or denying a special exception SEZ 202-40112 to allow reconstruction of a major accessory structure in the environmentally critical zoning district as authorized by Section 6366 of the Town of Fort Myers Beach Land Development Code for a property located at 6200 Estero Boulevard, providing for Scribner's errors, severability, and an effective date. And I'll open the public comment. This is for construction of the Tiki Bar. Yes, sir. Come back up, David.
David O'Brien, resident of Gulf Side 12. This is one issue that I'll make a comment on at this meeting and probably at the next meeting as well. It's a very important issue to our development to have the developer reconsider moving the Tiki Bar from our property line that abuts their property line to a more central location on the developed property. We don't think that there's any way to buffer our residential property from the activity that's going to go on at the Tiki Bar. It's the way it's been described, it's going to have a lot of activity, a lot of traffic. We would prefer to see that in the middle, since there's residential properties on both sides of the property under development. It makes more sense to us to move it to the middle. That's closer to where the old Tiki Bar was anyway. The old Tiki Bar was not where the accessory building was. And I think it only is planned there because it was a bigger building. They can build a bigger Tiki Bar on the same location that that accessory building was. So we would ask the planning agency to try and urge the developer to move that in a better location. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Terry?
Terry Kane. I'm a lot nervous about this one because it's changing environmentally allowing something to be built in the critical environmental zone. And to me, that's kind of a slippery slope. This will be the beginning. Who's to say who's going to come in next and expect to be okayed by the town to construct something in the environmentally critical zoning. So that's a great concern. And I will not be here the 8th. So that's my comment.
Thank you very much, Terry.
One question.
Can I see if anybody else
Okay,
wants to
sorry.
speak first?
Go ahead.
Come on up.
Hi, I'm Sarah Peck again from 6100 Estero Boulevard. I agree about moving the Tiki Bar to a central location. If they're truly interested in having a vibe and a reestablishment of what, a somewhat of what was there, it'll never be what was there. It should be centrally located and incorporated into the vibe of the place. As it is on that calendar or the map right now, you can see it's an afterthought. It's over to the side. It may never get built. It's over the line. So that's my opinion.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, thank you all.
I have a question.
Jane?
Is the reason why this is being put out on the critically, in the critical environment area because of that exterior building that was out there somewhere? Does anybody have a picture of this? I don't recall this building ever being there.
Yeah, I do.
I
It was there.
I was there a long time.
What was it?
Merchandise, bike rentals, water sports,
It was a permanent building?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it was a little structure.
Storage, they had like
store.
chairs, lounges
Had like a
and
little
rooms in
pout
there.
or a little porch on it. Yeah.
But you know what? We're going to continue this and we can discuss it
Right.
then.
Good
Well, I
idea.
was just going to ask them to bring a picture if they could find
Oh,
one.
I'm sure they can.
I could probably find one.
Okay.
for you.
So may I have a motion, please, to continue this hearing to a date certain of May 8th?
So
at 9
moved.
a.m. Thank you, Ed. Got him on a
Second.
roll now. Okay, is there a second?
I second.
And there's a second. So there's a motion and a second to continue this until May 8th. Is there any objection to that motion? And hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. The last one is variance 202-50299, 6200 Estero Boulevard, Outrigger redevelopment of variance. A resolution of the Fort Myers Beach Local Planning Agency approving with conditions or denying variance 202-50299, requesting a variance of 15 feet reduction to the required 25-foot side yard setback for an accessory structure to the Outrigger Resort in the EC zoning district to allow a 10-foot side yard setback in order to accommodate the historical location of the Tiki Hut for the property located at 6200 Estero Boulevard, generally referred to as strap number 334624W3000120000 in Fort Myers Beach, and providing for other clarifications as necessary, providing for conflicts of law, Scrivener's error, severability, and providing for an effective date. And I'll open the public hearing. Anybody have any comment on this? Yes, Terry.
I'll comment on this one, but Anita, I think you missed E.
I missed what, honey?
Skipped E.
We'll go back to that.
Okay, yeah, you can go back to it. So I'll comment on this
Oh,
one.
Lord, you're right.
It's been a long day.
Thank you.
darling. It's been a
Thank
long
you. Thank
day.
you, Terry.
That's okay. But again, this is a foot back so that this accessory structure could go into the EC zoning. So of course, I have concerns there. I am not a local neighbor here. I'm in the middle of the island, but I would still be upset with the setbacks being so small and next door to a bar. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Same comments as before, David, huh?
As far as the setback goes, that
David, say your name. Say your
David
name.
O'Brien.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
As far as the setback goes, that my previous comments apply to that as well, that we don't want it next to our property line. And when you talk about a historical location, my understanding from the plat that I saw for the Outrigger property put the Tiki Bar again more central to the property, and almost 90% of it was behind the CCL. And I think that's where it should be, is behind the CCL. put the other 10% behind the CCL and put it in the middle of the property.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Thank you all. Public comment is closed. May I have a motion, please, to continue variance 202-50299 to a date certain of May 8th at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Second. Okay. Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Is there any objection to that motion of continuance? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. I'm going to move back to item E, which is the special exception for COP. SEZ 202-40112 at 6200 Estero Boulevard, COP. A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, approving with conditions or denying the special exception SEZ 202-40112 to allow expansion of consumption on premises in the environmentally critical EC zoning district as per Land Development Code Section 341264G1 for property located at 6200 Estero Boulevard, providing Scrivener's errors, severability, and an effective date. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this? Hearing none. May I have a motion, please, to continue the special exception?
Second.
That's to a date certain of May 8th at 9 a.m. There's a motion and a second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries unanimously, with Doug being absent, of course. Okay, thank you all very much. So all of this will be continued to May 8th. We'll start all over again.
With a
Look
quick
forward to that.
review of
I thank you all for being here. We still have a few items on the agenda to finish here, but the public hearings are finished. Thank you, Mr. Wilson, for your accommodations, and Rich, thank you very much. I appreciate all your staff time, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the 8th.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I did look at the procedure rules for town council, and the town manager and the town attorney can establish what the date is for a special meeting. And so we will announce that at the meeting on the 20th.
Wonderful news. Great, Nancy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to keep using your agenda because mine's buried somewhere. Okay, so the next item is the administrative agenda, LPA items and reports. Nothing. Jane, anything?
Just to let the people know that there's going to be a health awareness
On April 18th?
The 18th, Saturday and Sunday, I believe, at Villa Santini.
Santini.
So just letting you know it's free to go, and they're going to have 25 vendors there.
Everybody, if you could keep it down, please, I'd appreciate it very much. Thank you. Okay. Anything else, Jane?
No.
How about you, Jim?
I'd like to welcome Ed. And this was definitely a baptism by fire, this meeting.
New.
Yes. Ed, anything?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
We're happy to have you. Very happy to have you. The only thing I was going to bring up today is I would like us to put on our agenda before we go on summer break, a discussion of the special benefits ordinance. Jason, don't look like that. Yeah, did you say no?
What'd you say? What kind of an ordinance?
You said no.
Public
What did I
Public
say?
benefit.
Public
What did I
You said
say?
special benefits.
Well, I mean special benefits.
Special benefits.
Okay. All right. Oh gosh, I'm tired.
He's giving
okay.
you that look.
I know he is. That's all right. Nancy, do you have any items?
No, other than the announcement that I made, and I'll be working with Jason. What we'll try to do is maybe get some language on the screens so that when you guys are
That would be so great.
discussing it,
Mhm.
because quite candidly, I have many scratch outs as the conversation was evolving. And it is very important that we have a real good understanding of what the motion actually says, what the language says.
Nancy, couldn't we do it like we did the charter review?
That's what I was going to try to
Because
do.
that worked so well.
I think it would, yeah.
Yeah.
We just didn't have the proper, versions and formatting, but we'll go that route.
Okay. So I just want to thank you, Nancy, and Amy, and the two Jasons. This was a twirly meeting, but I think it was productive, and Nancy, I appreciate you always keeping me on the straight and narrow because it's a very big task.
So there is no meeting on the 21st now?
There is a meeting.
There is a
on the
meeting,
21st
okay.
Still.
So
And
what our rules say that we have to make sure the town clerk is aware of our absence. Otherwise, it's unexcused by default. The ones we just looked at today. So I will not be here on the 21st, Amy?
Neither will I, Amy.
Yep,
yeah, we'll still have a. Are you going to be here, Jane?
I do plan to be here on the
I'm
21st.
going to be here, and
Doug
are
gonna be
you too,
here?
Jen? Okay.
Doug's gonna be
21st.
here?
Just want to clarify, thanks.
21st. No, he's not here to. Okay, Jason, anything you'd like to report? No. This is why you make the big bucks, Jason. Okay. So items for next month's agenda, we already know what that is. And thank you all very much. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment at
So moved.
3:58.
Second.
Thank you. Oh.
How long is that meeting?